The following is a spoiler cast on Sonic Mania, in which all aspects of the game will be covered. If you wish to keep your experience pure, please give it a listen after you fully complete the game. And if it's no use, maybe we can convince you to give it a try. Enjoy! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to True Route Radio, the podcast that covers games from their start to their final end. My name is Trongasm, but you can call me Mom, and today I'm hoping to have a quick conversation with three Sonic maniacs on the newest title in the franchise, Sonic Forces. Just kidding, it's Sonic Mania. Now as I introduce them, they'll tell me a little bit about their feelings on the Sonic franchise, starting with rising superstar Liam.
Hi there, thank you for having me.
Yep.
I
break it basically a regular at this point.
I like Sonic. I like him plenty. Sonic 2 was the Sonic I played when I was a kid. I had a Genesis and I played it in my bedroom. I never had the first one or the third one, let alone any of the esoteric stuff like Knuckles Chaotix or anything. And then there was a big long gap until I played Adventure, and I didn't play Adventure 2, and like real spotty history. And it was only when like the modern Sonics started coming out that I started playing them more consistently. Not to say I haven't gone back to them, but like it wasn't until Color or Secret Rings where I started playing all of them. And I really like Sonic, straight up. I've gone back and I've played pretty much all the titles, and I really dig it. Dig it a lot. I have a soft spot for the opening music for Shadow the Hedgehog and Shadow the Hedgehog in general.
Oh. All right. Next is TieTuesday.
Hi, hello. I speed run the best Sonic game. That's right, baby. It's 06. I played a lot of that. I've played some of the newer Sonic games. I really like Colors, like probably more than a regular person would like Colors. But yeah, I just like Sonic across the whole. I played a bunch of them. I love the disaster pieces as well, like Sonic and the Secret Rings. Oh, what a special game Secret Rings is. But yeah, no, picked up Mania and it's been enjoying it so far. My experience is pretty short.
Nice. And Kingdom Clannad, if that's how you pronounce it. I'm not even sure.
It doesn't really matter because I think I changed it because I didn't like it anymore. It was really stupid. I'm an adventure boy. So that's where I grew up with Adventure 1 and 2. Well, technically I played 2 first because the GameCube port of 2 came out before the GameCube port of 1. I don't know why, but so I played Adventure 2 Battle a lot. Technically my first experience was only in Mushroom Hill Zone on Sonic and Knuckles for PC when I was very, very young, but I was so bad that I just could not get past Mushroom Hill Zone.
That's a wildly specific thing.
Yeah, I have vivid memories of never being able to get past the wood chipper guy with the axe.
How horrifying.
And then ever since then, I've been with this little fucker. I don't know if you want coarse language. You could probably bleep that out.
No, we can cuss all the fuck we like.
Yeah.
I've been with him for pretty much all of his games that have come out. So I'm a masochist, basically.
What about you, Thomas?
I'm actually one of the people that would say Sonic was never good because I've only liked 2, 3, Adventure 2, what I played of Colors and Generation, and I've not liked any of the other games. Now, I like the character designs, I like the edginess, I like the music more than anything, but when it just comes to the games themselves, I don't like the gameplay that much.
But you like those 4 games.
I do like those 4 games.
Sonic was never good, asterisk. I
mean,
by those games being good, I mean they're okay for video games.
Yeah,
but
Sonic's divisive.
I'm in a similar boat.
So.
Yeah.
Sure. No, definitely.
Actually, one game I did play. One game I did play completion on an emulator years ago, all the way through without like any irony, was the Dark Brotherhood, just because I liked BioWare at the time.
Gotta get that music
Poor
in.
soul.
Oh yeah, the 2 notes over and over. And
abysmal.
So I guess we'll go into pre-release, but I guess when I played Sonic Mania, it has reflectively made me think maybe Sonic was better than I thought it was, and I finally seen the light on what people like about it. I think H-Bomber Guy had this kind of similar background with some of his friends where he would describe them not liking Dark Souls until they played Bloodborne, and then they realize, oh, I've been kind of approaching this the wrong way, now I have a new experience with it.
Right, so you feel like you've kind of turned a page on Sonic?
Yeah, because I guess if to go into some of the gameplay aspects, the things I hate about Sonic are just those moments where you get caught in bullshit, and since Sonic stages are built in a certain way, that's all you can really remember. So when I think back to, we'll talk about it, but like Chemical Plant Zone, there's these certain boxes that you get stuck on.
Garbage
in Act
cubes.
2 of original. Yeah.
I hate 'em.
Watching Sonic Mania in Act 1, seeing every single person fall in that part.
Yeah, you know,
it's those moments that you remember.
That's interesting how you put it, because it's true. When Sonic is going correctly, generally speaking, it's hard to remember anything in particular. It's only when the speed stops that you start to remember stuff, and that usually tends to be the bits where you instantly get crushed by something, or likewise. That's an interesting observation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it doesn't help with Sonic games, the way they have those collision things happen. It's not like Mario where the music suddenly stops and you kind of see where you got caught between things. And Sonic, it seems like his hitbox is just so huge to where you get caught between
I think
things
the real answer is we need Sonic to only release on platforms that support ultra widescreen resolutions, and then you get Sonic on the far left monitor, and nobody can complain anymore. No.
All right. So let's talk about our opinions on the pre-release of this game, because I remember at the event that was the Sonic 25th anniversary, I wasn't too keen on it besides the cool visuals and the nostalgia that they were going for. What do you guys think?
Yeah, so that pre-release event, as an aside, was awesome. I really loved that event. It was great. But yeah, when they announced it, I was like, oh shit, they're finally doing it. The trailer was really, really nice and tasteful. I don't know if you guys remember the particulars of it, but it was slow and it had some particular wording, like, you know, they're proud to present, and I don't know, it felt very it felt like they were
genuine.
Yeah, it felt kind of like genuine, like they were trying to make a point, like, hey, we're doing it. Like Sonic 4 was a mistake, we're doing it. Not to say it was, but whatever. But otherwise, I was just like, yeah, I guess I'll play it when it comes out, because I don't particularly like the old ones any more than I like the new ones, to be honest. So I was like, yeah, all right, I'll play it. It was pretty straightforward, actually. And other than that, I didn't watch any trailers for it, because I didn't feel like I needed to watch any trailers for it. And I actually just I avoided everything. At some point when the opening animation leaked, I said, you know what? No, I'm just going to wait 2 weeks.
Nice.
So actually for me, from start to launch was pretty much nothing. I missed it all. So.
Well, I think it became a blessing in disguise, because I didn't get interested in this game until everyone started talking about how good it was. So I sort of didn't pay attention to any of that stuff.
It's always great to pick up late and be like, holy shit, it's here. It is.
I know for me, the pre-release was largely when they announced it and they showed all the classic gameplay. I'm kind of in the same boat as Tom on this, where I was kind of like, I mean, the old Sonic games were all right. Like, they're okay. So they're like, oh, it's like old Sonic gameplay. I'm like, that sounds fine. Like, I get it. That's what people want. So I wasn't super huge on it. The visuals and the art were obviously fantastic. I think that's, like, uncontestable. You know, it looks great. And I wasn't even that sold on it until they leaked the music for, I think it was Studiopolis Zone, like Act 1. And then I was like, all right, yeah, no, I'll fucking play this game. Yeah, fine. You've twisted my arm. Like, this music is amazing. I'll do it. Fine.
Yeah, the soundtrack's really something special, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts, Daniel?
Yeah. Sorry if I don't, like, interject. I'm super afraid of interrupting people.
Oh no, that's why I shout at you and then put all the pressure on you just now.
So I actually made a video about this. I used to not really like classic Sonic very much. In fact, I didn't understand why people liked it so much. So you can imagine when they announced it, I was like, yeah, this will do something for people, but I don't really give a shit. So plus they were like, oh, we're bringing back Green Hill and Chemical Plant. And I'm like, yeah, this song and dance again. So, but then like a year passes and I'm watching this opening animation and I'm like, you know, I'm really excited with I keep watching this.
Why am I excited?
And it helped that I went back and played Sonic 3 and Sonic 1 and 2. And I kind of had an epiphany. I was like, you know, I actually kind of like this. I want to see what they do with Sonic Mania. So then I bought it off the Australian eShop so I could play it 12 hours early. And then, you know, the rest is history. I have like 10 playthroughs about.
Wow, so you
yeah.
really went in after all was said and
Yeah,
done.
I went in deep.
Damn.
I should say this is the first Sonic game besides like the extra campaigns in Adventure 2 and Heroes where I actually played it multiple times. So I got through 3 playthroughs.
I have something like 20 laps in Sonic Mania at this point, but I also decided to start trying to learn the speedruns for it because the speedruns are incredible. They're so much fun. Oh,
I guess just to round it out, I only got to play since Friday, so I finished it once, and then I have like another half playthrough. So yeah, we all have a varying level of time in, but we've all finished at least the regular. I finished the regular ending. You guys all did the super sequence.
Yeah, I did. I just did a Sonic and Tails as my first playthrough, and I also did regular Sonic and then Knuckles. Yeah, I was really surprised they added an extra content for Knuckles with extra areas of the stages and also the bosses.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he gets I think 2 extra bosses and also
what?
Mirage Saloon, and Green Hill Zone start differently for him.
Wow.
Mirage Saloon Zone Act 1 is actually good as Knuckles. What's up with that? Super
right. Yeah, we'll talk about the zones in a second, but yeah, it's worth it to run through it again as Knuckles, especially with his ability. You spend a lot more time just crawling around finding
I'll
shit.
have to try that out.
Mm-hmm. All right, so because I like gamifying everything, we're going to talk about all the different zones, and we're also going to give them 1 to 5 scores because I want to see objectively which zone is the best amongst all 4 of us Sonic experts.
Okay, cool. I'll make sure to give it very detailed decimal point scores for you.
God damn it.
Whole numbers only. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, whole numbers, 1 to 5.
Can you go negative though?
Can you go negative? 1 to 5. 1 to 5.
Because
Okay.
there's some of these that I'd like to go negative.
So with Green Hill Zone, I was surprised how much I remember this level because it's been remade like 6 times. But I think it was a really good version of it.
Yeah, the layout, at least for the first 50% of the stage, is like strikingly memorable, which I found weird because I was like, wow, I don't remember the layout of almost any Sonic stage, but shockingly, that one did stick with me. As fine as Green Hill Zone. I didn't, I mean, it's Green Hill Zone 1-1. Or 1-1. Green Hill Zone 1 is Green Hill Zone. Green Hill Zone 2 is like, alright, it's not quite Green Hill Zone. And then you get introduced to how the levels just segue nicely one into the other without switching to another stage like in the original games. You get introduced to how the music shifts and how the art changes a little bit as you go from Act 1 to Act 2, and I think that's really cool. Granted, that's not a strength of Green Hill Zone, it's just where you see it in the game. I think as far as the level itself, it's kind of unremarkable, but it's fine too. Yeah.
I really like the fact that we had to fight the Death Egg robot, the last boss of Sonic 2 as like the second boss of this game.
Yes, the bosses were alright in this zone too. The Death Egg
If
balls.
you see the Death Egg robot fall down and you grew up with Sonic 2, you'd probably have a heart attack.
Yeah, I saw it at the beginning and I was like, whoa, cool, we're starting off strong. Yeah.
If I didn't see it in the pre-release footage, I would have been like, what are they doing?
I had not seen it, and I wish they had slightly telegraphed better how to hit the boss, because like when I first was doing it, I was like, alright, I'm a little unsure, and then he shot the arm, and I was like, okay, you want me to run across the top, bop him on the noggin, you want me to run up on this cliff and stuff? No, it turns out you can just roll underneath him and just hop up 35 times and he just explodes.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Oh, actually, the first time I fought him, I lost because on the final hit that blew him up, I had the momentum sent me off the right side of the stage.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I think I read a lot of people were bumping off the end of the stage on that one. You have a limited amount of time to fight him.
Yeah, if it wasn't so funny, I'd be a little bit frustrated, but it was
Yeah.
pretty humorous.
So there's him, the Death Egg robot. He's alright. The Death Egg balls, I guess they're alright as like a warm up too, but they're not really. There's no difficulty. They're really straightforward. The Death Egg balls, I gotta say. The Act 1 boss. By the way, I really dig that there's bosses for every act now.
Oh yeah,
That wasn't a
there's a
thing.
lot more personality.
I was 50-50 on that, just because I really would have liked there to be about half the bosses of this game removed.
Do you mean in the
About
sense
half
that
of
you
them.
think because they're so weak that they shouldn't be in?
I think there's probably at least 30% that I would say are bad. But Sonic in general has always been a series that struggles with boss design, and it's like partially due to the ring system, right? Because like rings are either incredibly powerful in that you just can repeatedly pick up, infinite health basically, or they do something that makes the rings just not work for whatever reason, like a boss we'll get into later where they just get sucked into the ground, and that makes the boss way too hard. It means you basically have to no-hit it, which is crazy. So there are some that I feel like do really well, and there's some that are like average. Like the Death Egg Balls are fine.
Yeah,
I think the Death Bot is okay. There's one we'll talk about later that I actually looked at the sheets and noticed everyone was like, man, this thing sucks.
I definitely hear you on the difficulty. It's right in line with how it used to be, and I think some would say it's the Dark Souls of Crash Bandicoot games.
Oh yeah.
Well, like, I can test Sonic is a super easy game. Like, Sonic is a really, really easy game if you play it anywhere near the speed of any other game. Sonic's only hard if you try and really, like, burn a trail, and then it gets very...
If you try to look cool.
Yeah. As far as Green Hill Zone, though, I think I agree with Liam. They're pretty unremarkable. The only reason I would rate them a little higher now is because once you learn how drop dashing works, and this is again more of like a time trial speed running type thing. Once you figure out how to use drop dashing, oh my goodness, finishing Green Hill Zone Act 1 in 29 seconds feels so good, and you just never stop moving. The level is designed perfectly so that you can repeatedly be jumping, charging another dash, jumping, charging another dash, and just always be going right, full speed. It's real nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, drop dashing is real fun. It's a fun thing. I don't remember which Sonic game introduced that, but
I think that
it's
Mania.
It
this one?
It is Mania? Okay.
It's Mania.
Because I know
Yeah.
I saw someone in my chat when I was streaming saying, I think it was from another game, and I was like, okay, I can Google that, but I don't know. So thank you.
No, drop dash is Mania, instant shield is 3, and then the standard spin dash was 2,
Yeah.
and then CD did super peel out, which is awful.
All right. I give it a 4. What do you guys think?
I think it's like
give it a 4. I mean, it's not spectacular, but it's also not. It's not like bad. Like I think Green Hill Zone was always the only good part of Sonic 1. Not to offend anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After that, I just stopped caring.
Well, it slows to a crawl after that part because then you have all these stupid puzzles you have to do.
Yeah, and I think they translated it well into Mania. But it's not like my favorite thing in the world. So, 4 seems appropriate.
Okay.
I would give it a 4 if I was not so unbelievably sick of seeing Green Hill Zone at the beginning of a Sonic game. I would prefer Wave Ocean, so I'm giving it a 3.
Between the two, I like Emerald Hill Zone more.
Yeah, me too.
I like Wave Ocean.
I think I'm gonna go with a 3. It's not bad. It's not amazing. Either.
It's just we've seen it so many times at this point.
Yeah, like it's it's the beginning of a Sonic game. It's fine. It's never the high point, and it certainly isn't the high point. So.
Okay, next is probably one of my favorite songs in the entire franchise, Chemical Plant Zone.
Yes, same. As a Sonic 2 boy, I did like this song.
So when I would go to my friend's house when I was 8 and play this game a lot, until I was in my teenage years, I could not get past that block puzzle. I mean, the block jumping thing.
The
when you're
vertical block platforming.
I didn't have the skill yet to get past that, but that's the part that stuck out to me. Besides the good
yeah,
music.
Dude, when I was a kid, I would drown in the fucking chemicals, I guess, so often. I remember distinctly, like, so many times dropping into huge pits of chemicals, and, like, so I was really happy when I was playing through it for the first time, and I never dropped into the chemicals. Like, they caught up to me in the vertical, like, platforming on boxes.
In the climb, in the shaft, yeah.
Yeah, in the climb, exactly. But I never fell in the water or the chemicals, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I do like this stage. Fuck you. I remember this stage.
I forgot to mention, but during this podcast, you'll see me play very bad footage of this game, and the first time was an accident by intentionally for the second 2 times. Because you can fall back down into that area if you don't do the little platforms, and also if you fall during the blocks flipping, it's the worst.
Yeah, I would say Chemical Plant Zone Act 1 was the one that kind of made me aware of... So, you were talking about earlier how Sonic Mania gave you appreciation of the older games. I kind of had, to a certain extent, the opposite effect on it. Where playing Sonic Mania, I was like, man, this is so good. Everything about this is great. And then, like, I would hit something and be like, man, they brought back this bullshit from Sonic 2. I hated that shit then. Why now? And it was like Chemical Plant Zone with like the jumps across the moving platforms where Sonic's momentum is just not good for that. And then like the climbs and stuff. Like,
and like that part was from Act 2. They could have cut it out. That was like the worst part.
Yeah, it was one of those things where like a lot of the low points of Sonic Mania are when they're not being allowed to do their own thing. And I felt like that like highlighted it for me and really like reinforced, God, I just want them to make their own game at this point. But I'd say Chemical Plant Zone Act 1 was pretty good overall. Like, they did do a better job to avoid you falling in the water, or like help you avoid falling in the water. There were definitely less paths that took you down there, for sure, than in the originals. So that was good. Like, I would say on the whole, it was a really solid... It feels like Chemical Plant Zone that you remember, but it's actually way better. Like, it feels like it. It has the same kind of like the tubes, the slide, the momentum, the way the level flows, but it is just so much better designed. Oh my
and
goodness,
it's got all its like really like recognizable obstacles, like the blue goop that just hops up and down, and stuff like that, that really stick out as that's Chemical Plant Zone. That's not Sonic. That's Chemical Plant Zone specifically.
Yep. But I still hate that damn blue goop.
Fair.
I don't care if it's psychotic. I fucking hate it.
It doesn't look poisonous until you walk into it. It should have been red or something. I will say the first boss is kind of like one of the early Sons I got that a lot of Sonic bosses are, you can just tank it if you don't know the timing, because you just pick up, one ring and then you can survive off that one ring for the entire fight.
Yeah, the invincibility frames let you get like, what, 2-3 hits in for free before you even have to worry, so...
Yeah, it's super weird, because that boss is, like, based around having a barrier around it, right? Like, a fluid barrier. I just assumed when I first fought it, it would just kick me back if I tried to hit it when it was doing that, but no, you can just launch your ass in there repeatedly. It doesn't care. You can beat it in, like, 5 seconds. Yeah.
No, the first boss of Chemical Plant Zone was totally unremarkable.
Yeah.
I
mean, other than the ice cap
reference,
it's not really anything.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a little bit of discourse on spoilers, because I remember when this game was first, like, it was out, and people were saying, don't give me Sonic spoilers, like, what could you spoil in Sonic? And I'm really glad I didn't get spoiled on Sonic, because that second boss is the best thing in the fucking game for me.
Yeah, I didn't know about that going in, and I think I audibly gasped when I got there.
It was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I jumped up in bed, because I'm a big Puyo Puyo fan, and that just scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, I was wondering how many people fucking slammed that boss coming right off of Puyo Puyo Tetris on the Switch.
His difficulty seems to change. It's always easy, but sometimes he can
Yeah. No, he's always easy, but I want to see the one guy who on the first run made this amazing 8 or 9 chain, because he was just playing Puyo Puyo Tetris on his Switch. This is the first time Mean Bean Machine's been relevant ever, so...
There's only one time that I've ever died to him. Every other time I've won, but that one time, he was just so unusually aggressive that I really wonder how his AI works, if he even has, like... I don't know, because that one time he just kicked my ass, and every other time he's been weak, so I don't know.
Yeah, so you can unlock him as an extra mode if you get all the silver medals, but I wonder if there's like options for AI difficulty, because that might.
I tried 5 in that mode, and that's scary.
I was literally just gonna ask, because I haven't had the time to get all the silver medals, let alone the gold ones. Like, I'm glad you can unlock that, because it would be a super shame if that was not just in the game.
I'm glad you don't need more than silver medals, because I could not do that.
Yeah, when we talk about that minigame, I got words for that minigame.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God everyone has words for that minigame here. Oh, I was worried I was alone. I get so much sass for having words about blue spheres.
Okay. We do have one comment from when I asked questions on Twitter. Our mutual friend Fred Wood said, "I don't have a question. I just want to say main is Chemical Plant Zone Act 2 is the best Eggman battle in Hot's history, Sonic."
Yeah,
and I would kind of agree, because even though it's a gimmick and it's easy, it hits all those nostalgia parts.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think in the context of like video games at large and the Sonic series at large, it's a very special boss fight. Like, I don't know if I could say if it's the best big Eggman battle like on its own merits, because it's totally fueled by nostalgia and knowing what a Mean Bean Machine is. But it's fucking cool, man. I wish I didn't know about it. Shout outs to Xavier Woods, PhD, for spoiling me. But yeah, I fucking wish I didn't know about it going in, man.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, that's why we're having this spoiler cast, because I wouldn't hate to ruin it for anyone else.
Yes, exactly.
Just learning about it.
Yeah, I would definitely say I can think of a lot of better bosses, like as far as execution, but like as far as just a genius thing to slip in, like I mean, yeah, holy shit, yeah, I don't think anyone saw it coming. I wish and I hope the patches that come out soon make it not have a random 1 in 3 chance of just soft locking the game. That would be be great.
Definitely.
Because that happened the first time I played it, and luckily I just kept jumping until I got out of it. But for you, Liam, it happened on stream.
Yeah, it happened on my first run on stream, and people were just like, "Oh, it happened."
Yeah.
I'm under the impression that like 50% of players just had a soft lock at some point.
Yeah.
And I know I saw a Zone on Twitter was saying that she got a bunch, so it's like. Right.
I was watching.
Luckily, Chemical Plant Zone is fun to play, because otherwise it was like if that happened
happened on fucking Titanic
Oil
Monarch
Ocean
Zone, I would put my Switch in garbage.
Yeah. As far as Act 2 though, outside of the boss, Act 2 is awesome. Of Chemical Plant Zone, like it really felt like they were being allowed to do their own thing on it, and it just shines. Like I love the syringes and bouncy goo mechanic. They did such a super good job on that. I think I remember just first time, because they drop you in really quickly and like have the first syringe turn into the normal bounce goo, and you're like,
they show you just
cool.
by gameplay. It's really cool.
Yeah, and then you hop up onto the second one, and it's like, well, this is already the bouncy goo. What's this green shit do? And then it just rockets you up like 4 screens high, and it's just like, all right, I'm in. And there's a part where if you're going full speed, you just like come out of a tube, ram into the super bounce goo, and you just hold, like everyone I've seen do it just naturally, instinctively just holds right and prays, and it gets you they did it purposefully. It lands you exactly where you need to be if you do that. It is so good. Like a lot of the momentum stuff they did in Chemical Plant Zone Act 2 just felt really smooth and refined, and like they took a lot of time to make sure no matter what your playstyle was, you were always going to be delivered somewhere that was fun and felt satisfying in execution. I think they did an incredible job. Like, as far as the out of 5, Act 1, I'd probably give like a 3 or 4 out of 5. Act 2's a 5. Easy for me.
Overall, what would you give it then? Because I would probably give this zone... I'd probably give it a 5, outside of that one.
Bearing in mind the bosses, like... even though I was spoiled on it, it's...
Well, Mean Bean is such a big thing to me, because I think about Puyo Puyo every day and night. I fucking eat that shit, so that's what gives... That one thing elevates it, you know, how it's just like how one thing can ruin a whole level for you, and it's just that one thing. This definitely
I still definitely think, like, for me, just because of the, like, I really love how, I really love how they're able to evolve on the classic stages in the second act, and Chemical Plant Zones, I felt, was one of the stronger, if not the strongest, evolutions on a concept.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And, like, that paired with the Mean Bean Machine boss, and also paired with just how fucking unique Chemical Plant Zone is. Say what you will about the quality of Act 1, when you're in Chemical Plant Zone, you're in fucking Chemical Plant Zone, and it doesn't feel like any other zone in Sonic games. Like, it's got a really unique feel, and it still, like, fits in with the rest of it.
And the second part managed to be, like, unique because you're actually inside the factory and has this really good remix.
Yeah, no, and it builds on it cleverly, and, like, that's dope. I would be remiss to not feel like this one's a 5. Chemical Plant Zone is just it's impetuous, and I know 2 was obviously the one I played as a kid again, but a lot of other zones from other Sonic games feel like other zones from other Sonic games, and I think Chemical Plant Zone was one of the ones that never really had a direct parallel to another zone, and kind of like stands out again, has a lot of unique obstacles, like more than other areas too. I have a lot of love for it, plus they built on it really creatively. So
yeah,
I do wish the first boss was not garbage. So
well, at least it's not like a stone wall or something.
Bullshit.
At the very least, yeah, it's just a little bit of a cakewalk, but
yeah,
I personally would be. It would feel wrong to give this not a 5, because like the only small issues I have are like little nitpicks and things that are really more just inherent to the Sonic engine than they are things that are chemical plants' fault. Like just the random collision weirdness here and there, but that occurs throughout the entire game, honestly. Just the whole idea of, if we can't solve how a collision should work out, you're dead. You know, like that kind of thing. And it starts popping up in Chemical Plant Zone, and that could be a little frustrating, but like, man, the level's just good. It's just good. It's 5. 5, yeah, 5.
Alright, let's move on to Studiopolis Zone.
5. No, sorry. I might have jumped the gun there a little bit, but 7. 7 out of 5? 10.
I give it a 10, you know. Yeah.
Alright, so this is the first of the new zones in this game, and it was one of the ones they showed off right when they showed the game off.
Yeah.
And this catch my attention because it the word aesthetic gets thrown around a lot, but I think this totally fits in with the 90s Sonic aesthetic.
Yeah, it very much fits in place, I agree. The movie theme just works.
And all the weird little things like, you know, Club Sega and also the popcorn machine.
Yeah, that's true. The popcorn machine, yeah, that definitely stands out, I agree.
I just like the little touch, too, of you can walk behind the windows and then, you know, it shows your silhouette and stuff like that.
I just think it's so amazing they were able to make a zone that looks like they just ripped it out of a forgotten Sonic game that was never made.
Absolutely. Yeah, it looks like it's from a really high quality fan game. Shock! It is a really high quality fan game. No, it's great. It's great.
One thing I adored about it, in particular, was a pretty common theme throughout the Sonic games that I actually really like as a gameplay thing. Is they're the ones where Robotnik's plan is just completely nonsense. Like Sonic Colors, he's building a theme park, and then I'm pretty sure just like as a tertiary he found an evil scheme he could do, but I think he just wanted to build a theme park. So like this being, you know, it's just Eggman has a TV station where he does stuff. Like there's nothing even evil in there. Like they have a weather machine, I guess, but like other than that, it's just a weird studio that he built, and I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, the only two real enemies are the paparazzi bugs and the spinning around things.
Yeah, like it's
and the only flaws I have with the stages of those spinning around things is one, the timing's really weird on them, so I get paranoid and just wait them out, so it slows things down. And everything is they get so sad when they only have one ball left, and then you just have to kill them.
It seems like
they're very depressive monsters.
Yeah, they seem weird fit for Sonic because you have to keep running into them. I don't think you I don't think there's any opportunity where you can just hit him once. I think there are.
If he's down to 2 balls, I have defeated him.
It just seems like a weird enemy to put in there. I don't know. Like, I do kind of like that if you leave him, like if you take away all 3 of his spheres, he looks so lonely and sad.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
If I can throw shade at Eggman too, what the fuck is up with him and putting like different animals and robots that aren't the animals they correspond to?
That's kind of his thing. It's a kink thing, and I would rather you don't shame him for it.
Because he puts squirrels and flying robots and birds and the armadillos and shit like that.
I put a dog in a giant caterpillar and I called it a caterkiller. Enjoy. Like what? Yeah, it's a thing he does.
Gotta force him to adapt. I don't fucking know, man. Animal cruelty is a wild hole.
Okay, I'm kind of mixed on Heavy Gunner as a boss because I'm really bad at jumping over those missiles sometimes.
I'm really good at it now because I've played it so many times. Even when I first did it, it wasn't too bad. I just had to figure out what you're supposed to do. But he runs a little too long and he's a little too simple.
Yeah.
Well, Sonic seems to have a weird thing about requiring at least 4 hits for everything, unlike Mario does 3 hits.
I mean, honestly, any boss in any game that's an auto scroller is always going to have that going, and it always kind of sucks on repeat playthroughs. And I feel like his first playthrough, he's all right. I think you were mentioning how jumping with momentum is really awkward the first time, because it fucking is. You're gonna take some hits. You might die. No shame in that. It feels weird. And also, your rings just vanish off the side of the screen since it's an auto-scroller, so do your best.
If it wasn't for the life system, I don't think that would bug me as much, but the life system is very archaic in this, so
yeah,
that
for
makes
anyone who doesn't know, if you
more.
run out of lives, you have to start again from the first act of the area you're in. So, just for any listeners.
And the thing that I think is important to note with that is Sonic Mania's acts are very long compared to old Sonic games. Like, some of the later ones are like 7 minutes on your first playthrough easily. Like 6 or 7 minutes in Titanic Monarch is not only not unheard of, it's very probable. So, yeah.
We'll talk about when I get there, but I had 2 timeouts.
I had a timeout.
Yeah, I got
as well,
timeouts as well. I wish you could turn off timeouts, because, little known fact, in Sonic Advance 2, they had an option to turn timeouts off. So...
Because the time only really, besides killing you, it only really matters for pride for your score. So it's,
there's absolute like I'm more lenient on the live system because I don't know, I've never had a big issue with it, probably because I've never gotten a game over. But if there is one thing that I just do not like is that like timeouts make no sense. I don't even know why they existed in the first place.
One of my buddies, his girlfriend decided to play through, and she, like, loved Sonic and adored it, but she was just apparently the kind of person who would, like, rather go explore the levels and stuff. Like,
that's
she
what I
found
did my
every
first
Chaos
playthrough,
Emerald on every single playthrough. Yeah, it was nuts. I am the opposite, but she timed out in Green Hill Zone, Act 1 and 2. Like, and it's kind of like, man, it just kind of cuts a way to play the game off, right? Like, it's just not...
The first thing I did was just explore every zone, and that's why I got a few timeouts, because I'm like, where's the special ring?
Yeah.
And then I just died, and I'm like, oh, that's a thing, I forgot.
I mean, it's clear as crystal why they were in the original games, you know, extend the length just a little bit, just like everyone had to extend the
that's
games
true.
just a hair.
Most bullshit stuff is probably, to extend the length.
Yeah, but I do think it would have been a welcome change to make the timeout only occur after, say, 99 minutes. So you could continue having the tradition of it. You could have the same timer in the top corner of the screen, but not have to really...
Or you could put in that Sonic CD gem, baby. If you stand still for 2 minutes, Sonic just fucking leaves.
Yeah, I love that.
I will say, you actually you can screw yourself over sometimes, because if you hit a checkpoint, it doesn't reset. So say you die like shortly after checkpoint, the timer's still going off when you respawn again, and then you could be at like 9 minutes and just die afterwards, and then you lose 2
lives.
Yeah,
I had a tough spot like that near a boss actually, and that was sucky. So I get why you want to keep it around. It's like a part of Sonic. It is. Everyone saw 1 or 2 timeouts when they were a kid, I'm sure. But you know, especially with the levels being as long as they are, I'm not so much surprised as I'm just kind of like wondering why they felt the need to keep it exactly the same. I don't know.
Yeah, and that goes for a lot of the returning stuff. Like, there's a lot of the returning set pieces, as you said, in the chemical plant, have the bullshit moments. So it just seems weird that, you know, like, even if they are bringing back classic stuff, you could fix Collision maybe to...
I can just say Oil Ocean 1 I have entirely memorized because of the live system, and I'm not pleased about that. So, we'll get there. But, yeah. But, Studiopolis Zone, the bosses, who's Heavy Gunner. My first thing I don't like about the first one is kind of exemplified by when you do finally get, invincibility or, supersonic or whatever. You can just hold right on the controller and walk away. I literally did this during a stream. I just got supersonic, held right, walked over and got a drink from my fridge, and then came back, and the boss was still going, and I almost won at that point.
Yeah, actually, I don't even think you need to hold right. I think you can just stand in place, and it'll work too.
The holding right's just a little faster.
Yeah, for the boss, you need 60 rings to survive supersonic. I've tested.
Nice.
Luckily that's most people have more by that point. But if you just stand there the entire time and take 60 rings.
Yeah, Supersonic's a great reward, but he can break the game. Mostly the bosses. Yeah. The levels seem like they're fit with they can accommodate him, but the bosses just get absolutely wrecked.
But yeah, all that boss is basically just keep holding right, jump over the missiles that you're not supposed to hit, and then jump on the ones you are. And I know you can be reductionist with almost any boss, but the problem is I'm not really being reductionist. It's really just that simplistic. But as far as the aesthetic and the set piece and everything, it looks really nice.
Yeah, that's the thing. If he just had 2 cycles of that, I'd be like, that's underwhelming, but at least it's not 4 cycles.
I think it would have been cool if he had like a bullet hell formation where you send out a whole bunch of them and you just jump on the ones you're supposed to jump on.
Yeah.
And then you only have to hit him like a certain amount of times with those ones.
Just any change in his cycles would have been appreciated.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing I said before, which is like, yeah, auto runner bosses, they fucking suck when you have to fight them the second time. Or auto scroll rather, right? Yeah.
Yeah, with Act 2, it was cool looking too, but it was kind of less memorable for me, maybe because it was just a lot of gimmicks, like the ball things.
I think the music wasn't quite as good in Act 2 as it was in Act 1, and I think that's literally the only thing I kind of have between the two of them, is I like Act 1's music a little bit more. Otherwise, they are both my perfect children, and I love them both. I love Studiopolis
I did manage to get 500 rings on Act 2 one time thanks to the lottery, the ball things.
Oh, nice.
I got three times multipliers in like a 6 or
I
something.
appreciate that existed, because I really dug in Casino Night Zone and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the various methods of winning rings. So it was cool that there was some of that back.
I think a lot of people like the Casino Night aesthetic, and they like the idea behind Casino Night, and it was just the aesthetic was so repeatedly getting you stuck in places in the old ones. Like, it was repeatedly like...
It was a huge stage, too.
Waiting on elevators, getting stuck in half pipes. It was a huge level. Getting stuck on bumpers, trying to escape a slot machine and not being able to, like, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Trying to use the cylinder thing that nobody knew how to use.
Holding up. Yeah. And Studiopolis, like, avoids all of that, but still has all the little fun, fluid mechanics in. And the first time you fall in one of those little, like, chutes you go down into those, you're just like, oh, shit, nice. Like, it's kind of cool, and it, like, lasts a little bit, gives you a little song and dance and a little reward, and then you're on your way. And it feels like it's just
and even
long
if you
enough.
roll a robotic ball, it doesn't really punish you that much, so...
Yeah, I mean, I think back fondly on Casino Night Zone, definitely, because even though it's like flawed in how it wrangles with like Sonic's movement, I think again, like Chemical Plant Zone, it has a really strong identity. You never mistake it for any other Sonic stage, and vice versa.
Absolutely.
And I definitely found that while I really enjoyed Studiopolis, I kind of just blurred in with some of the other stages. Not to say it was not a good stage, I liked it a lot, but especially the Weather Globe boss, who I thought was really, really enjoyable. I thought that was really charming. But it felt kind of, I don't know, it felt kind of unremarkable. Like, the theme was nice, but the theme also didn't blow my mind, really. It was cool. Nothing bad to say about it.
It reminded me a lot of, in Sonic Colors, what is it? The Carnival something, or, oh gosh, the name of it. The one with all the, like, Las Vegas neon spaceships flying through the sky.
That's the
what the fuck is that called?
Armada? God, I can't
that was like my
Fleet?
favorite zone in that
Carnival's
game. I don't remember what
ships?
it's called.
I literally recorded that in like full HD upscaled 60 frames per second at like 10,000, like completely. It was just like so totally lossless because it was too beautiful. Starlight Carnival, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, like I think Sonic is personally for me at its best aesthetically when it's being as bombastic as possible, and I feel like Studiopolis for me was that. It was very bombastic and over the top, and very much like Bright Lights kind of thing. You know, like very got that kind of feel to it, and that's when I think I personally enjoy Sonic the most, when it's going over the top as hell. So I think that's one reason I like Studiopolis so much.
Back then, that would have been one of the things they showed off in the store. Say, hey, look at the Genesis. It can do all these colors, but your blast processing doesn't work on the Super Nintendo. Like,
Yeah.
So Weather Globe was a cute boss and wasn't memorable, but I liked the gimmick.
I found it memorable because of the gimmick. Because, like, I don't know, when I think back to the list of bosses, at least that one, I remember, like, how you fought it. Whereas stuff like the Chemical Plant Zone Act 1 and Heavy Gunner, it's just like, I don't even remember. Until you guys remind me, it's like, what were those bosses again?
The wet orb of Chemical Plant Zone.
Yeah,
the notorious
exactly.
moist orb.
In my notes, I don't have an official name for it. It's just called Goopy Chemical Thing.
Which I'll take to be the official name at this point.
I mean, the Weather Globe. There are two bosses in this game, one much later and one right here, that, to me, one of them I don't give a shit about, but the Weather Globe, I'm like, oh, this thing's really unique and memorable, but that's only on my multiple playthroughs, because my first playthrough, I got to the boss, and I kept jumping, I hit him enough times, and he died before he could do a single attack, Because the problem with that boss is that they position him so low that if he's on his down, like he hovers up and down. If he's down, you can hit him with a normal jump. So I feel like after I did that, I was like, wait, I wanted to see what that boss could do.
Yeah, my biggest disappointment with that boss was how easy he was, truly. Because I thought he was kind of standout with how you had to watch the little TV and stuff like that. There's a monitor that kind of...
He has this fucking chicken thing that tells the weather.
Yeah, and that's cool. I like bosses who tell their moves in such a direct way.
Bach, it's fucking hot.
It's charming, yeah.
Yeah, and with Sonic and Tails, that boss is even easier. You can just hold up and mash jump, and Tails will fly directly into it, and his stupid invincible ass will just kill the boss.
Tails makes a lot of bosses really easy. It's a free extra hit.
Yeah, I kind of realized that halfway through the game. But, like, because I played Sonic 2 as a kid, I was like, well, I want to play with Sonic and Tails. But, like, yeah, it totally trivializes a lot of bosses.
I can't believe they made Tails good in this game. Like, I used to play a drinking game of Sonic where, like, every time Tails fucked you over, it was like a drink or a shot, depending on how exactly you got screwed by Tails. Yeah. I don't think it would work in Mania, because Tails is actually good most of the time.
That's why I didn't play Tails until the latest playthrough I played. I avoided Tails because I remember, wow, Tails as a partner sucked. But then I played him in the last playthrough, and then I'm like, wow, you're really useful. I can't believe I didn't use you earlier.
What did he do in the older games that was like a problem?
He could hit a boss, and it would make you go through the boss, and some of the bosses are positioned above pits.
Right, that's true. In this game, he always goes after you.
Yeah. I think he took air bubbles completely in the last.
Did he take air bubbles?
Oh,
if he took air bubbles, that was a problem. But I'm not sure.
I can't remember if that was a thing.
I think what
feel
they
like it
fixed
was
in this game was that if you hit, like, if Tails hits a boss, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if Tails hits a boss, you can hit him right after. As opposed to the old games where...
it doesn't count towards their invulnerability states or anything.
Are there, like,
that's how they
permeability frames? I don't know. Intangibility frames, I think, is the correctest term for it.
The
invincibility it's intangibility that's the problem, not invincibility.
But I don't know, but when Sonic has his iframes, we call them invincibility frames, and it's the same thing, right?
Is it? Do things just pass through him? Do enemies pass through him when he's like that?
Well, you take no damage. If you're standing still, yeah.
You bounce. Well, yeah. Sonic usually just bounces back.
If you're jumping, your jump will make you bounce off them. But if you walk, then yeah, you walk right through enemies.
Okay. Well,
yeah, that makes sense.
In one boss in particular, the difference is pretty important, and we'll get to that one when we do. And I'll make sure to mention it then.
Yeah.
All right. Did you guys notice the 20th anniversary Easter egg when you beat the boss?
I didn't notice till people pointed it out.
Same.
But
me neither.
But it's there.
Well, because I noticed the buzzing, but I'm like, I didn't put two and two together until I read online. I'm still not like...
Yeah, so...
I don't know.
So to listeners, when you beat the boss, the TV cracks out, but it does the same buzzing effect from the live stream of the 25th anniversary.
It also shows the date of the 25th anniversary on TV after that.
I really enjoy how inside joking Sonic is with itself nowadays, especially with the Twitter account, Sonic Boom, stuff like that.
That's how you have to survive in this with this reputation.
Exactly. All right, scores. 4.
Yeah, I'm feeling like 4. About right for me.
Don't talk to me or my son ever again. 5.
Okay.
5 plus, if that's possible.
Yeah, 5 plus.
All right, you can try to convince us later, change your scores maybe, and then Chemical Plant might drop a little bit.
I'll make you.
Okay. All right, Flying Battery Zone.
I never liked Flying Battery Zone, but it was alright. It was better than I remember.
I like it better than the Airship from 2. As long anything's better than the Airship from 2.
I'm kind of like with Green Hill Zone. I'm like, it's cool. I love the music. I've always loved the Flying Battery music. It's nothing like remarkable. Plus, I've always hated the outdoor sections.
Because it's so easy to die.
A lot, but
yeah, I was gonna say
Sonic
my
3
favorite
and Knuckles,
parts
I
of
hated that.
Yeah, easily the best parts of Flying Battery Zone are when you're inside. And every time they make you go outside, it's fine as long as you're on top of the ship. As soon as you're on the bottom, it sucks. It's just super not fun. The little climbing rings thing, I felt like was okay, but I wish they would make the ones that drop you down through floors a little faster. That's just a repeat playthrough thing, I think, more than anything. But
Yeah, I think
Super small
those are neat, but like actually like my first time through the stage at the very beginning, I was like, where the fuck do I go? I didn't realize you could grab those. I was like, fuck, why can't where do I even go?
I think they're only neat, like, if they didn't have the secret ones that put you through walls, it'd be like, why are these even here? Because it doesn't seem like it serves any purpose. You just sort of like do the monkey bar thing, climb across.
It messes with speed runs, I'll tell you that much. When you're going full speed and then you accidentally just full stop on one of those stupid things.
Yeah. No, definitely.
And
I think in this case it was
flamethrower
just for the
things-
sake of tradition. Like,
Yeah, and
that
the
was in the
flamethrower
old
things
flying
you stand
batteries, so they
on-
got to bring that back.
Definitely. That's part of its identity.
The flamethrower things you stood on to like bounce yourself up in the air, those were a little odd. I don't know if those are still. I can't remember if those are an original flying battery. They probably were. Yeah. Those I feel like could have again just been hustled up a little bit. Like I feel like they could have just made them into regular bounce pads when you jump on them, and that would have been super dope.
I do think
in general, I still like it.
I do think that was part of the challenge of going back over these stages was like, how do you streamline the parts that people didn't like when generally speaking those parts are like core to those stages' identities, you know? Like if you took away
I think
the
that's just
hanging
the
things-
problem with them making the decision to bring back so many zones. Is that, you know, not a lot of classic Sonic always worked as well as people remember it
No,
working.
definitely. I actually completely agree with that. But when we live in a world where everyone's like, well, Sonic was only good back then, it's like, what the fuck are we supposed to do, you know? To be honest, that's like I do wish the whole thing was new zones, but you know, I think that's the nature of the beast, which is that if you're gonna bring back zones, you're gonna have some of the same flaws, you know. But I think generally they were fine with it.
I feel like Sonic Mania, one of its greatest strong suits, is kind of how I felt about Shovel Knight, honestly, where Shovel Knight, in my opinion, felt like most people remember NES games being, not how they actually were.
Yes.
And like every time
That's why I
it was
like
doing
Shovel
that,
Knight as opposed to most of those older games.
Exactly, yeah. And I feel like Sonic Mania did a lot of that, where it felt like the concept and the rose-colored glasses memory of Sonic, as opposed to actually Sonic 1 where everything was terrible. I'm not sorry.
No, the first Sonic has more problems than most people remember, for sure. And it's like omitting like a crazy amount of features that came in afterwards, like the fucking spin dash charging shit.
I mean, yeah, I'll say this much. There's not a single returning zone that I wouldn't prefer playing in Mania versus where they originated from. Like, I think all the returning zones are the definitive versions of those zones.
Yeah, I think the only like asterisk I would put on that is I'm sure some people miss the bosses from the original zones.
That's true, yeah.
But other than that, nothing. Like, because I agree with you. I'd rather play the Mania versions as well.
Sonic Mania is the Stranger Things of Sonic games.
Yeah.
Damn,
Yeah.
you're doing it now.
All right, bosses. Trash compactor. Huh? It was a neat idea.
It's actually pretty neat.
Yeah, it was cool. I think this is another case where it's not really like, because once you figure out how to beat him, you're just like, oh yeah, I just have to. I think my biggest problem with this one in particular is that waiting period for you to be able to hit him.
Yeah, I mean, he
It just
doesn't look like it,
drags.
but he's basically an auto scroller as well. So
Yeah, unless you know some shenanigans. I do really like it on the initial impact it has, I feel like, when you drop down. Like, myself and every other, like, streamer that I've watched go through it, as soon as they hit that, and, like, they're like, oh, this is the neat little boss, and then the walls close in once, and they're like, oh, shit. Like, that's just kind of how it goes. You realize it's
Well, it
not
took me
that
like
hard.
4 of those monsters to pop out too before I realized I was supposed to jump on them, and so I was like panicking a little because of what the fuck do I do during
yeah,
this
I
part?
really appreciate how it at the beginning it's not necessarily 100% clear that you're supposed to like bounce off the critters and get at them. And then as the situation becomes more tense, it also becomes easier to succeed.
Yeah,
so
because
you're-
of the elevation.
So I think
rises.
statistically, players are more likely to succeed the more tense it gets, and like thus the satisfaction is going to be really high no matter how you slice it. I think it's a smart boss. I think it's a really smart boss. Though I totally agree that on repeat playthroughs that it's nothing. Like it's just wait.
I think it's just another case of like it's really stylish, but it's style over substance.
Yeah.
I think that's just the problem that Sonic ran into itself with, because Sonic Mania I really enjoyed on other playthroughs on the regular levels. The bosses got worse the more I played them. Spider.
Fuck, man.
That was cute too.
Second worst boss in the game.
Really?
So
When I first played it, I would agree, but over time, as I figured out like the inner workings of it and how you're supposed to hit him and what momentum you need to have, it's one of my favorites now.
Yeah, I
think it's really creative.
I think like as a challenging boss, like he's probably one of the most demanding bosses, and that's cool for sure. This totally on me, but like this was where I had that timeout, and I was like, fuck this.
There's one part of the boss that I don't appreciate, and it's that it's not exactly clear when you can hit the spring and when you'll phase through it.
Yeah,
because if you hit it once, you can't immediately hit it again for some reason.
That's what I was talking about with the intangibility frames, and his are just way too long. Especially one of my biggest problems with this boss is it's in a certain way the environment is cycle based, right? Like because you have the pull and you have the spikes, and then you have the inverted and then spikes on both sides. The problem is the boss's cycles are relative to your actions. So if you hit him early, then he'll do lightning at a time, and he might start doing lightning while you're supposed to be getting on the pole or whatever.
Yeah.
Or he'll just do it at a really inconvenient time. And I really hate that. If you're gonna do cycles, have it be cycles all the way down. If you're not gonna do cycles, that's fine. I prefer that personally. But like, again, you have to be all in with it. My biggest issue though is it's really easy to like hit him and then jump onto one of the posts and be like, okay, I'm good to go. I'll hit him into the spikes, and you just zip through him, just entirely through him into the spikes, and it's so garbage.
I've noticed sometimes that if he's going into his lightning phase, and if you jump on the pole too late, you can't get up there in time, and then like the pole already have ended, but he's at the top of the screen.
Yeah, you climb slower than he climbs, which is obnoxious.
The thing I really hate about it, and I really, really hate this about it, and I've always hated this in classic Sonic games, is in situations where there are spikes and you would be crushed, but there's clearly a space for Sonic to go, you shouldn't fucking die. Like, I hate getting crushed by the spikes on the edge of the stage. There are situations where I've bounced off him, successfully hit him, and then gotten crushed by the spikes.
I've gotten crushed by them as well, because they appear. Yeah.
And it's fucking aggravating having like one-shot kills in bosses. In this game, it killed me. Like I hate it.
And say you run out of lives, you have to start all the way from the beginning of Flying Battery Zone.
Yeah. I don't think I actually did game over on him, but boy did I like die to those spikes far more than I should have.
This is definitely an example of. I get why you brought it in, and especially because one of the head designers of Sonic Mania did the incredible port work, where I say port, but it wasn't port, it was an entire rewrite of the game engine. Like, entirely. Like, recreated Sonic, I think it was 2 and 3, and maybe some of the other ones.
The first one as well, yeah.
The first one as well, yeah.
I don't think they
did. CD was the big one, too, yeah.
Yeah, and like, that's crazy, that's wild. So, the depth of knowledge on the engine is obviously incredible. Could have left the collision bit out though. Like, especially on spikes where there's a slide, you could just have Sonic do a scoot, or have him hit by the spikes and bounce away, like you touch the spikes wrong. That's fine.
Or
too.
turn him like electricity or some other property that doesn't instantly kill him.
Yeah, there's like so many other options, and this boss, I think, is one of the first major parts that really exacerbated these small little design decisions here and there. So I wasn't a huge fan of Spider Boss.
I think even despite all that, now that I know what to do, I just have so much fun fighting him, because he's one of the more creative bosses that for me actually works. And I mean, when the boss is working, at least for me, it doesn't feel as simple as the other ones, and it's a really cool concept. I don't know.
As far as the bosses go, let me just zip back through this real quick. At this point in the game, you've fought, this is your 8th boss, and he's the first one that requires any real thought.
Yeah.
I guess caveat aside, you do need thought for Mean Bean Machine, but it's crazy easy. Like, you literally need thought, as in you can't not pay attention to Mean Bean Machine, but like, good luck dying. So.
But yeah, I think intangibility and collision stuff aside, I think this boss would be great. But I really think the intangibility thing is probably what gets most people frustrated at it. It's
That's
just
what gets me the
phasing
most
through a boss into
frustrated,
spikes.
This is the boss that with the intangibility frames distinct from invincibility frames.
Yeah, because you just zip through them.
But aren't those
entirely.
just invincibility frames, though?
I mean,
Not
it
to
is
be pedantic,
invincibility, but well, I mean, it is also invincibility. Invincibility doesn't imply that you can pass through an object; it just implies it can't take damage. So it's both, but the intangibility is what makes me frustrated about it, not the invincibility. It's a bumper, cool, I can't hurt it, but it's the if I didn't pass through it, I wouldn't care. But you do zip
if you bounced
through
off it, it would just be, oh well, just wait until next
Yeah,
time.
exactly. You'd be like, ah, dang, I messed up my timing. But since you zip through them, it means I run into spikes, and that sucks.
Mm-hmm. It does. I agree.
Good perspective.
I didn't love this boss.
Speaking of perspective, do you know that people have been drawing fan art of upside down in the spider thing? Robotnik looks like a girl with like large frizzy hair.
I did not notice that.
I'll find art later, but it's funny.
I saw that people said that, but I just can't see it.
Well, it's like you remember Ganon from
Yeah.
Link to the Past? His
not
the magician.
Not Ganon.
The
You mean,
magician Aghanim.
Aghanim, yeah.
Yeah, he looked like a nerd with a really big nose and glasses.
Yeah, no, I'm just not seeing the lady here, so I don't know. It's one of those trick things.
Score, I'd give this a 3.
4. I like it about as much as Green Hill.
I'm also on a 3 because I didn't like the spider boss, and I can't say the same about Green Hill. And I gave Green Hill a 3 actually too, but yeah, I'd also say a 3. It feels pretty unremarkable.
I'm gonna give it a 2, just because in general I remember not liking this level more than liking it, so I think that's 2 worthy. Like, it wasn't abysmal, but I don't remember ever being like, this is great.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Nothing about the stage ever made me thought this is great. It was just, I'm playing Sonic. I am advancing and making progress. Yeah, good music. I think that goes for all
I love the
stages,
music.
but yeah.
But I've always loved the music. And this one in particular, I don't feel had too many changes in the music department. Like, it's kind of hard for me to pinpoint exactly what they changed about it.
Sure.
But it's still good, so, I mean, that's good.
Alright, I like this next zone coming up, Press Garden Zone, and it had very different aesthetics for both parts of it. What do you guys feel?
Yeah, it did. Press Garden Zone, the aesthetics jumped out at me more than Studiopolis. Like, I liked them a bit more, but that's just a taste thing, I think. But as far as the actual level itself, I also kind of thought it was a bit unremarkable. The aesthetic was nice, but
I kind of wish there was more of those actual press moments where, you know, you're escaping between two things closing in on you, and they made it more dynamic.
Yeah. I thought the ice sections were the most standout sections, just because of how goofy they were.
I like the aesthetic. The only thing I was really down on was just some of the background elements are just moving really fast all the time, and that just it distracts my eye and my focus a little bit. It kind of pulls me away from what I'm trying to do. Whereas like Studiopolis, I would say, is much more visually busy, but it's also not, you know, whizzing by 100 miles an hour. So, but God, the aesthetic was so unique, and yeah, they really this one. I would almost, if I was the kind of person who did get upset by this, the fact that they almost don't feel intertwined in any way. Like, Act 1 and Act 2 feel like, other than the fact that they have, like, a really nice shade of aquamarine.
Yeah.
That's really the only connecting factor.
I agree, they are
between
kind of
them.
disconnected in that sense. It's certainly true.
In some other universe, they could have been split into two separate zones, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
This one...
I do like the springy belts. The springy belts were pretty dope.
Oh, yeah, I love
where
those.
you just, like, rocket it
I
up
love the
while
ones where
bouncing
you
off
have
shit.
to
those
get
were
to the
super
ceiling,
fun.
and then it just, like, rockets you forward.
Getting one of the Chaos Emeralds at the very start of that one took me like a whole minute. In this video, you'll see me jumping around, but it took me a minute to get into the right angle so I can jump over the springy bits.
Oh,
into
yeah, I
into
remember that
thing.
spot. I think I got it, but yeah, boy.
Shiversaw and Heavy Shinobi are the bosses.
Shiversaw, I was playing 2 players here, so I just crouched Sonic in a corner, and my friend as Tails just slammed him because he follows Sonic around. So I did
He's
not
a very
have
good
an honest
puppet.
or real fight against Shiversaw. Heavy Shinobi was a real fight though. He required some like paying attention and thought. Like I liked him.
Yeah, Shiversaw, when I streamed through it, people mentioned immediately, they're like, yeah, no, this boss you just have to damage boost through. And I was like, well, that can't be right. And I like figured out, you make him break the saw and then jump into him. And there was like so many people, including people who just tweeted at me, they're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, no, what? You thought they just made you damage tank a boss? Like,
would.
No, they weren't just gonna make you damage tank a boss.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? No. But
what is this goopy chemical thing again?
Yeah, what's this goop orb? But the big problem I think with the Shiversaw is just, even when you know how to make him break his blade, sometimes he just floats away like a douche.
Yeah.
And you just can't hit him. And it really sucks because he just regrows his saw blade way too fast. Yeah. I don't hate it as a concept. It's a little slow because when you are doing it properly and not damage boosting, which no one does anymore, you have to wait for him to like come hang out and then shoot his arm out and then chase him and hope you get some hits in. And it's, when doing it as intended, not a great boss, and when doing it like I feel like most people do, it's literally
You're just getting him out of the way.
It just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's just okay. Like, I don't know. I don't dread him, but I don't really look forward to him.
I have a hard time giving him a thumbs up.
Yeah. Heavy Shinobi was... I like Heavy Shinobi's fight, even though it could be difficult.
He was difficult on the first try, I found, for sure. But, like, coming back to him, I was like, yeah, okay, that's just a real fight. You have to pay attention, you gotta play good, like, straight up.
My problem is that... Well, I have a few problems, because I like Shinobi. He's one of the better bosses, but... there are a few little things, like... Sometimes the direction that he's jumping, because you can only hit him while he's jumping.
Yes.
Sometimes the direction he jumps is the same direction that he throws a star. So it's just sort of like, oh, well, I guess I can't hit him. Like, there's
yeah, you can't challenge.
There's no way. And then when the stars shoot out the needles, it is so hard to see those needles. Because they're so small and they blend in with the background.
I think they should either be slower or easier to see, because,
That's a Sonic problem, yeah. Like, in general, that is supremely a Sonic problem. His projectiles have always been a motherfucker.
Yeah, because
in general.
On that metal stage later on, you have the same problem with those orbs that shoot out when they explode, and they're really tiny.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think it works really well, and it took me a while to figure out what you're supposed to do to him, but once I did, I always have fun with him.
Yeah. And Sonic Sprite's really funny when he's frozen.
God, yeah. It reminded me a lot of, like, Freedom Planet's bosses, and I used to be firmly of the belief of Freedom Planet was the best of the classic Sonic games until Mania came out, and I'm still, like, halvesies on it.
Yeah, that's more or less where I was for a while.
Yeah, and, like, I feel like it was reminiscent of Freedom Planet bosses in that it's more like you are fighting... I don't know, like, not just a big hulking machine that's real slow, like, you're fighting it.
Well, you're like one-on-one with another warrior who has his own tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like another dude who has some movement and shit. It's like, he's not as fast as Sonic, but Sonic's the fastest guy
He also
alive.
gets more
That'd be
complex as it
ridiculous.
goes on, too. It's not just the same,
Yeah, I mean, like Freedom Planet
stars.
and Heavy Shinobi as well, like, they actually are fights that require thoughtful movement, and a lot of Sonic games... Like, they don't necessarily necessitate that for their boss fights. I mean, sure, a lot of them are enhanced by it, like Chemical Plant Zone and Sonic the Hedgehog 2. That boss is all about, like, moving carefully. But you can just fucking damage boost if you want. And that is something I appreciate about Freedom Planet. You can't do that.
Did you ever play Sonic and the Black Knight?
I played it a very small amount. If you ever saw that video I did with Matt, that was the most... I played, I think, an hour, topsies.
Some very interesting bosses.
As a quick aside, I cannot believe Black Knight is a worse game than Secret Rings. Can't believe that.
No, I vehemently
disagree.
Detest
I
that.
super disagree. I just beat Black Knight less than a week and a half ago.
That's
you know.
fair. I still think Black Knight's worse.
Super disagree. God. Well, Secret Rings, I know this isn't a cast, but I'm getting this off my chest. Secret Rings is motion controls, and Black Knight is actual adult controls, and that's, like, all the difference it really makes. Like, that's really the only thing between the two of them that I think is the reason Secret Rings is so much more detestable is it doesn't let you use buttons like a big boy.
Oh,
it
come
makes
now.
you use all these little motion wiggle waggles. And when you have to turn by leaning it.
Not all of us are wee savants like you, Liam.
But I mean, it's just like I played it. It was fine to move. Like I didn't, you know, you just have to.
It feels like butt.
You have to think about your movements and, you know, not over tilt and stuff like that. That's fine. That's all right. Neither of them are very good games. Like neither of them.
Oh,
are
they
very
both suck
good.
huge ass. Yeah. And I've played both of them on like emulators after playing them on, you know, physical style and like mapped them to buttons. And after being mapped to buttons, Black Knight is definitely better, but Secret Rings is very improved by being able to use a controller like an adult.
All right, moving on from our Wii discourse. I give this one a 4.
Probably a 4 as well. I think Heavy Shinobi does a lot for me. I really dug him. He was one of my favorite bosses.
Yeah, I'd say same. I'd give it a 4.
I don't know if I ever like got into this very much, so this might seem surprising. I give it a 5. I think this is like my favorite zone, and I think
that's fair.
I think purely because I love the level aesthetic and music so fucking much that I don't think the level design is like bad either. I think that there are some really cool moments, especially with the conveyor belts, and once you get into the second act, I really love the stuff that you do with the ice block, where you just zoom across and break through shit.
Mm-hmm.
And
the ice blocks are great.
I think those.
And if you take the top half, you can just
the second act in particular has so many pathways, but it never feels as monotonous as something like CD. So, I just love it. Whenever I get there, I'm just smiling like a little boy again.
On all 3 of my playthroughs of Press Garden, I was going different paths every time. It was really huge.
The levels flow is just really good. I think is like the biggest thing for me is no matter which path you take, it flows very naturally. And I could, yeah, exactly. Like you took different paths every time, and I have a feeling like you weren't doing it intentionally either, were you? You just like
no. I was just going.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's really good that it made like multiple paths that all feel natural. That's really hard to do. So I like it. Yeah. I like it. Yeah.
All right, Stardust Speedway. Besides the music, I was really not a fan of everything being green in the first area. It was really hard to make stuff out for me.
As for the actual level itself, like yeah, so aside from the plants, I found it was pretty unremarkable. Just kind of go.
The dumb tires you had to roll up against and stuff like that, and the stupid Hotaru bugs.
I think that was definitely something I felt with Sonic Mania a lot. Was like there was a lot of levels that just kind of blurred into each other a little bit. Not to say they were bad, but like, you know,
like Act 2 was really cool to look at, but it was really short in comparison.
Yeah, so it was all right. This level I found kind of unremarkable.
I think Stardust Speedway and the other Sonic CD pick suffer because they were in Sonic CD. I don't mean that. I don't mean to offend anyone, but
that's is that Metallic Madness the other one? Or
yeah,
okay.
I will do a 3-hour podcast on how much I hate Sonic CD and how I think it was the downfall of Sonic as a series.
CDs.
Yeah, so the level design is an atrocity. Well, with that being said, I had very low expectations for Stardust Speedway, and was really pleasantly surprised. It didn't knock my socks off in any ways, but I liked some of the way the momentum flowed here and there, like the little bouncy vines at an angle and stuff like that, and like some of the cannon sections and stuff that were very like almost DKC, like like
the barrels,
in that way. Yeah, like barrel style, exactly. I thought those were like fun little additions where you still were moving.
Yeah, the cannons were fun.
Yeah, you were still moving very dynamically and very quickly. You had a lot of kinetic energy throughout the whole level, and I thought that was like really, really cleverly done. All those little movement things, like jumping up onto the big firework. That was cool as hell. I love that. Oh, that was so cute. Even if it was only like a second or two, I was just like, this is such a little adorable thing that they didn't have to do, but it felt really good. And Stardust Speedway, it wasn't like super exceptional, but a lot of touches that I feel like made it good, but not like incredible.
That's my caveat, is that I hate Sonic CD, and that's why Stardust Speedway and Metallic Madness are like, of all the stages, they're probably my least favorite returning zones, but the thing with Mania is that they fixed almost every problem that CD had in its level design. So I can't really get too miffed about it. It's just a lot of the stuff still remains. Like I don't like the sections where you have to quickly pick a direction because you just get stuck in the loop if you don't know what direction to hold. And then they still have some springs just bounce you fucking everywhere, and but they fixed a lot of the problems, so I can definitely enjoy Stardust Speedway. And Stardust Speedway in particular has less problems than Metallic Madness inherits, so I can appreciate
the
that.
bosses, I have different reasons I don't like them. Like Giant Hotaru was just nothing for me. Just a giant.
I had no idea it was called Giant Hotaru, but I have much more respect for that boss because of that name.
I think Thomas just named it that.
No, that's the bugs are literally called Hotarus.
Because they're the fireflies. I understood that.
Yep.
Yeah, when the boss showed up on screen, I was like, oh, it's this cute enemy that I like. And then, like, 2 seconds later, I was like, oh, it's okay.
It's just like Kamek through some giant magic.
He's another one of those bosses, too, that if you brute force him, you can kill him on his first cycle once he gets big.
No, he was kind of nothing. But
okay, I think Metal Sonic was a little long in the tooth.
Yes, Metal Sonic was long in the tooth.
Boy.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. But fuck if he wasn't a cool set piece.
Oh yeah, especially the final part when you're running in a circle.
I think you could easily fix him if you just cut down the running sections. Because other than that, I thought the boss was pretty cool.
Here's the way I think you could make Metal Sonic, like, not just, like, a pretty good boss, but, like, one of the absolute standouts of the game. And it's the easiest thing in the world. So after you do the section where you blow up the little machine, and that whole thing where he gets in and you have to reflect the, the fake Robo-Sonics from, Game Gear Sonic 2, just put a checkpoint! Just put a checkpoint there!
Yeah.
And then it's amazing! This is great! I am so down for it if you just put a checkpoint there, because, like, if you die to the spike wall or some random hit on the second half and you have to redo the whole thing,
have to redo
that's
the
when
whole
it's
thing
like,
if you die?
Man.
I did not know that.
There's no checkpoints in it.
Yeah, I didn't die, but I always thought it was
checkpoints.
weird watching other people stream. I'm like, why didn't they put a checkpoint after the midpoint? Because it's probably the longest boss in the game.
Like,
I actually do agree with that. Even though I didn't catch that at all, like, it's odd that there wasn't a checkpoint halfway if that's how it works.
Yeah, I didn't figure it out until, like, my second or third playthrough, where I was, like, again, really trying to, like, rip through the game and, like, do speed shenanigans and all that, but, like,
you only need to see that once to realize, though.
Yeah, and then you're like, holy shit, that's like 6 minutes back.
if you didn't have the sections where you just had to run in a straight line, I think the boss would be, like, imagine the boss where you just hit the Silver Sonics back at him, which, once you know the pattern, is very unremarkable, but it's still kind of cool. And then, once you do that, just launch into the spike wall. Like, I get that they're trying to reference the race, but if you're not actually going to do the race, then it's just you running in a straight line.
And we've already seen it in Sonic Generations anyways. 2 from me.
Yeah, fuck. For me, Metal Sonic does pull it up a little bit. Like, the stage I find fairly unremarkable, but I love the set piece that is Metal Sonic. And just like how much of a drag out fight he is. That being said, I did not note the checkpoint thing because that just didn't happen to me. I'd probably give it like a 3 just because the fight's fucking badass. But yeah, that does sound like a notable issue that should be corrected.
I think for the moments of flow, like the moments where Stardust Speedway work, it works really well. But there are a little too many sections to where I'm hesitant to give it a 4, so I'll probably just give it a 3, because I'm a little mixed on it anyway, and it's not that I dislike it, but it's just not remarkable.
3's not bad anyway. It's a fair score.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's like, it's not so much that I hated it, but when I compare it next to all the other levels in Sonic Mania, it's probably one of my least favorite. The Metal Sonic fight definitely brings it up, even with the checkpointing issue. Like, that's a really simple thing, and if you're not having trouble, it's not a big issue. But I still think that brings it up for me. It would be a 1 without Metal Sonic, but with Metal Sonic, I'd say it's a 2 easily for me.
Metal Sonic's cool, man. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like Sonic story and stuff like that, but yo, when Sonic is facing off against Metal Sonic, it's always fucking cool.
Strange, isn't it?
I'm such a mark.
Sonic Forces is gonna be the best.
Dude, Sonic Forces looks so good.
Liam, it's gonna be the best
I'm
thing
so
ever, my
excited
man.
for Sonic
It looks like a
Forces.
giant ball of stupid, and I am all in.
That's
Like,
but like that's great. Like that's
yeah,
what I want.
I'm so in.
A lot of
It's gonna be the
people-
cringiest thing I've ever
Okay.
seen,
I
but
want
I'm
some-
so in on that.
I want Sonic to high-five my
Yes.
OC and say, thanks, I'm glad you're here, and then we do a cool super boost
Yes.
move together while Butt Rock jams over it, and Hoobastank is singing me and Sonic along, and then we kiss. What?
I want that. I want that. And at the end, I want your OC to take a lethal hit for Sonic.
Yes.
Like, I want that relationship to be fostered. I'm so
They'll
excited
bring
for
back
Sonic
Nephilis
Forces.
at the very end, and then he'll be like, this was my plan all along, Solaris. Then Elise will be there.
I guess we're gonna have a Sonic Forces podcast in the near
Fucking
future.
yes.
I am on board for that.
I
when
thought
the
you were
time
doing
comes.
one for every great game.
Okay, I'm in then. All right. Okay, so are your team Hydrocity is one word or two words?
Hydrocity.
Some people call it Hydrocity, and it's
I'm just kidding. I don't really care because I interchange actually, so I don't know. I don't know what you do.
some people get really angry about it. I don't know why.
I
Sonic
interchange a
fans,
lot
that's
because
why.
I never cared.
Because didn't
I have a mechanical engineering degree, and hydrocity is a measure of wetness, so that's my take. I think it's wetness zone.
didn't Generations say Hydro City in its yeah, it did. Here, I'm checking right now. It says Hydro Space City, both capitalized in its music.
In the menu, it's also abbreviated as HC Zone. So
Yeah.
it's a very
HCZ,
divisive topic.
That's true. That's true.
I
damn.
think where you fall in this argument
Hey, you know what?
depends on how you pronounce Studiopolis. Because if you say Studiopolis, then you're probably on the side of the debate that says Hydro City. Not like guaranteed, but
In reference to Generations having it as Hydro City 2 words, I mean, Po Buddy's nerfed, you know? Every game's got a flaw.
But the Mania does say HCZ. It does.
I mean, because
Yeah.
It's true,
I think the
yeah.
thing is that it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
Yeah,
fucking matter, but shut up. It matters so much.
Yeah, no.
No, it doesn't matter.
Thinking about Insufferable, I found this to be my least enjoyed zone in the game, just because I hate water so much.
Wow, really?
I don't like water. I hate every single water zone in every zone.
I mean, yeah, I can get that.
I would have been really middle on it, or really what's the word? I wouldn't have really
Miffed?
thought much of it, if not for both the bosses being really enjoyable. The first Hydro City boss, where you take control of Eggman's neck and you attack Eggman with the robot or
That
the
was so fucking
the
cool.
floating egg thing. That's fucking sick. It's nice to have
is
that
the
turned around
best.
finally.
Yeah.
And Hydro City Act 2 boss is an elaborate underwater section where you're being pushed along. And I thought it was fun. It is an auto-scroller, so obviously it's going to be worse on repeat plays, but I,
I really didn't like the boss.
It was novel.
Yeah. I wasn't huge on that boss just because if you whiff
Yes.
an air bubble,
Yeah.
there's a
You know,
90%
and
Also, if you
that's-
lose your rings, you're never
and
getting
it's
them back.
very
So.
easy.
Yeah, all the auto-scroller bosses just say
Yeah.
goodbye to your rings, exactly. But I did think he was novel.
I would.
But, yeah.
Well, the second part was
wouldn't
reused, isn't it?
minded Act 2's boss.
Yeah. The washing
That's
machine.
the part of that boss I don't like.
And that's-
the last part.
Exactly. Yeah. The washing machine. Eggman's elaborate washing machine where he does his drawers. Like it's not a great boss. You get locked
yeah,
down in
that
an
bit.
animation
That's not
stunned for
Fucking
like
ever.
10,
That's true. I
20
like the
seconds at a
first
time.
bit. Never mind the second bit. I'll throw that one in the trash.
And I think that second bit, for me, the reason I hate it so much is that when you're underwater, it seems like Sonic is delayed in his spin dashes, so I always jump. And then, of course, if you jump, it takes him an eternity to get back to the ground, and by that time, he does his washing machine thing. And you're just stuck forever.
I would say this is the one zone too where the two different acts don't look too different from each other. In just my opinion.
It's very cohesive. You're right. Mostly because you spend like, I don't know, 30 to 50% of the stage underwater, but yeah.
With the stupid
Probably,
sound.
probably
Wah, wah.
more than that, actually. Oh, wow.
I honestly, like, in all of my playthroughs of this game, I couldn't describe any single part of Hydrocity to you. I could not tell you anything except there's water. Like, that's it.
I just love it because you get to see Eggman in a scuba suit.
Yeah, Eggman in a scuba suit's cool. And I love, again, just you getting to his machine before he does, and he's clearly panicked, and not having any of it.
Yeah, but he has a
and
ton of
then you
bombs
beat the shit
though.
out of him. He has tons of bombs. He has loads of bombs. But you can drop depth charges to destroy them.
You can.
Yeah.
This is okay. This is a new
it's-
feature I'm learning about. How do you
hit
do that?
down.
You have to hit down.
I'm an
You
idiot.
hit down on the D-pad and you.
No, you're
follow
not.
the depth
You're
charge.
not an idiot. They don't tell you anywhere, and it's totally missable. I missed it my first time. So.
Okay, all right. It's a 1 for me. I don't like it.
Ooh, even with the bosses, it's a 1. Ouch.
Damn.
I don't like the
that's-
bosses
that's
either.
heavy.
And that's fair.
Yeah,
I'll
it's
give
fair.
I'll give it a 3, and it's the bosses that save it for me.
I mean, I don't think it's the best, but whenever I play it, I feel like it retains, because I always liked the music. It might have been my favorite song in Sonic 3 Knuckles if I look back. Both acts, and that remains true in this game. They're probably not my favorite songs in Mania, but it's fucking glorious, and I love the sections where you go through the tubes, much like Chemical Plant, where there's just really fast sections, and I actually like the bubble stuff. So there's a lot of weird stuff in it, and I would argue there aren't that many water sections, so it doesn't drag the pace down too much, but I don't love it, so probably a 4.
Before I give it to Ty, a friend did tell me that out of all the water zones in Sonic, this is probably the best one. And I guess if you're going to pick the
Definitely.
best out of all the bad water zones, might as well be the best one, so.
Definitely.
I'm crossing my arms and thinking about Sonic Colors, where you can just
No,
dash
you know what?
across
Yeah,
the water
that
or
too.
jump infinite times
Yeah.
and just fucking leave.
That was good
Yeah.
too.
Turns out Sonic Colors is actually the
Oh,
best
yeah.
game.
Aquatic
Weird,
Ruin
that's
did it
fucked up.
first.
Still perfect. God. For me, it's a 1. I mean that same thing. Like if we're comparing it against other Sonic Mania levels, it's absolutely, in my opinion, the worst of them. Because I think something being bad but having some kind of memorability, I value that higher than being nothing. And Hydrocity for me was nothing. It was just a void with water in it. I
felt like we were gonna get
remember
ones
anything but that one
eventually, but I
boss.
did not expect it for Hydrocity.
I hate water stages in games. That's just me.
Yeah.
Like,
And yeah, I don't like when Sonic can't go fast. I like when Sonic go fast.
Like, of
And the
course, I
Hydrocities say no,
respect
go
it, but I
fast.
just did not expect that. But I guess it is a
Yeah.
water level. And
Knuckles
I
can't chuck
agree.
underwater,
Water levels
can't
are
breathe.
kind of, yeah. Like Tidal Tempest from Sonic CD, go fuck yourself. Like, holy fuck. So
I feel like Aquatic Ruins wasn't this bad either in Sonic 2, like for underwater levels, because it was always about getting you back up, whereas Hydro City is like, nah, you fucking stay underwater, son.
One thing I was pause about it is cool when you're running so fast you skim across the top of the water.
Yes, that's really cool. That's always cool. Every time it happens, you're thankful because you're not falling in the water.
Okay, Mirage Saloon Zone, the third of the new zones. I like this one. The first part for Sonic and Tails, not so much.
Yo,
I am so mixed on everything about Mirage Saloon.
okay, but nobody's fucking mixed on the opening where you see Fang on the plane.
No, that was cool.
It's so good. Their appearance, both there and as the during the boss fight, was fucking sick. And I know that's like pure nostalgia, nothing, but like
I mained Beam to Dynamite in the fighters.
I was gonna say, I loved being able to talk about Bean the Dynamite while streaming and having no one believe me that character's name was Bean and thought I was just doing
He's
a weird
relevant
Bean
for
joke.
once.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I
It's
thought
fucking Bean the Dynamite, Knack the Weasel, and what was the...
It's,
See,
forget
this is
the
funny.
polar
I
bear's
was just
name now.
about to
Bark the
bring that
polar
up.
bear.
Barks, thank
I
you.
was streaming the game, and I too had a similar problem. I'm like, who the fuck is this polar bear? And I had to ask my stream, like, what is his name? And then everybody in the chat was just like, Bark. And I'm
yeah,
like,
it does.
now, but
Bark's
then,
so forgettable.
and then I remember his name.
Yeah.
Plus, in the boss fight, he never gets a chance to do anything.
No,
Attacks so
only Fang gets a chance to do anything. He shoots one bullet and you're right over it.
That being said, it's a fucking cool reference because
Yes.
I've always felt like other Sonic games were afraid to
It's-
make references like that, but it's so cool to have them in a game again.
It's my favorite boss in the game. It's my favorite boss in the game a whole lot, just because the style is
It's
so
a
off the
fun
charts in
boss,
that.
yeah.
I love it so much. fucking wizard robot that turns into 3 different things, and it's all callbacks to old games, and oh, it's so good. Like that, I don't even have nostalgia.
Yeah, you
for
can't cheese it.
being...
You can't cheese like the weather one,
Yeah.
so you actually have to go through the whole thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have zero nostalgia
Yeah.
for any of those 3. But when I saw it, I was
there's
just
no
nostalgia
nostalgia,
for
and they
Bean.
haven't been relevant since Fighters Mega Mix. So yeah.
even then when I saw them, I was like, "Holy shit, they did that!"
Yeah, it's cool. But,
Well, it's like with all those Archie characters that you thought everyone forgot about over time.
Yeah.
All
I
those,
didn't.
there's a legal reason for that. So.
I wish Bonnie Rabbit wasn't gonna disappear from the canon so soon.
The Giant Caterpillar, I liked this Knuckles version. I really didn't like the Sonic version.
I fucking hate that boss.
I kind of thought he was sort of nothing.
That
Like
boss is
his,
bad.
You could stand still the whole time if you wanted to.
yeah, and like, can you get hurt?
Yeah.
You
can
can
get
get hurt
hurt.
if you
If you
jump
jump
on
at
the
the wrong
wrong way.
part, you can get hurt.
Because I jumped at his body a couple times and I just got the little bounce back sound and I just got bumped off of his body and I'm like, can you get hit?
And therein lies why I don't like that boss. If you are spin dashing or like moving quickly when you bump him, it is very easy for Tails to just be like, "Hi, Sonic," and then you just die. Like he just doesn't catch you, which is like really my problem with the first part of the first act as well. Is like, why in the world don't they just program it so the wherever Tails is, it's just a flat like X plane, an X coordinate across the entire thing that Sonic can't fall below. Like, you know what? Because here's the thing. If you manage to get ahead of Tails and Sonic's just floating in the air for a second and Tails catches up on the plane, that's just kind of like, that's goofy. Whereas if Tails whiffs you and you die, you're like, motherfucker, Tails! Like, again, and that's... I feel like it's a really simple fix for something that's just a constant problem with that stupid plane.
Yeah, here's the tip to add on to that. Never, and I repeat, never go supersonic in that boss fight, because if you can bounce off him, right?
Yeah.
If you're supersonic and you jump at him and bounce, he flies off of the bounce so fast that Tails is just like, no, I'm not even gonna try, and you just die.
So wow.
It seems like when he does the foreground and background jumps, I can never figure out, because it's always you have to jump super early or super late, and I don't like the
I have like a
timing.
5%
I've never been able to
success
get it
rate on
down.
hitting him when he's in that state.
Thankfully, he goes side from side,
Yeah.
but if he didn't do that, holy shit, I'd hate this boss.
I would have liked it more if you could hit any part of him and he just loses segments like any other video game would have done it.
Like a Pokey.
Yeah, like a Pokey. Otherwise, the second part of the stage with all the pinball stuff I liked a lot.
Yeah, I'm glad pinball came back because the pinball flippers always worked really well. I never had a problem with those in any Sonic games. They don't.
It's kind of fucking weird that it's in Mirage Saloon, but it's cool.
Yeah, no, definitely. I guess the Saloon theme gambling. I don't know. I didn't expect to see them,
Cowboys?
but yeah, I
No.
guess Cowboys played pinball, so that's fine. No, I
Did they?
yeah, I think that was probably a thing.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
saw Westworld. It was totally pinball cabinets. No, but I was really happy to see those back because those always like they barely slow Sonic down at all. If they slow you down, it's only because you're waiting for that last second to get the perfect angle that you want. But even then, you can only spend what, like a second and a half at most on them. I always thought they were really good, just like the barrels in Stardust Speedway, because they just kind of keep you going, and like but at the same time it's thoughtful, because you actually have to pay attention to how you're going to be aimed. It's not just like hit this thing and go fast along the ground or anything. Like you got to use it carefully, but it's quick, it's very easy to use, super intuitive, and you keep moving. So I was really happy to see those back.
It's a fun way to play with momentum, and that's really like what Sonic does really well, is when an obstacle isn't like just stopping you or something that makes you like stop and do something, but it just like redirects your momentum in an interesting way, or like adds it, or like the way you're talking about the ice cube parts of Press Zone, where it like freezes you in place, but you've got this really neat slidey momentum and you crash through stuff and all of that, and it's like it plays with the concept of momentum that Sonic does so well. And yeah, the flippers are super on board with that. And the piano keys, too, that kind of bounce you around and are just real fun and cute.
I agree with all that, but the reason I'm so mixed is because unless you're playing as Knuckles, which I actually prefer Mirage Saloon as Knuckles because of his unique act. But unless you're playing as Knuckles, you've got an entirety of Act 1, which is on the plane until you get to an extremely short train section, which I wish they made longer.
Yeah.
And then the Act 2, I'm like, okay, now we're into the real stuff. And then it ends in like a minute. And it's so disappointing, because every time I play it, I'm like, oh, we're finally at Mirage Saloon. This is the, like, in terms of aesthetic, it's one of the coolest looking levels.
Good
like
song
from
too.
pre-release. It's the one I was looking forward to the most.
Oh, the music's so good.
And I love the music, but every time I get there, I'm like, oh, we gotta go through Sky Chase, and I never liked Sky Chase. And then after Sky Chase, and after a boss I don't like, you get to the Act 2, and then it's like, oh, now we're in the stuff that I really like, and it's cool for, like, how long the stage lasts, but then after a minute, you're already at the boss. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
I will say the gameplay kind of changes pace too with Knuckles, because it's one of the parts where you actually have to do required climbing. So you have to,
Yeah.
time the platform jumps with the spikes, and it gets harder later on. But that first step is definitely a pace change.
That's why I like it more as Knuckles, because his first act is more traditional. See, I wouldn't even have a problem with Sky Chase if the train section was
Longer.
You know, its own act.
A real train,
almost.
like a train you traveled across or something.
Yeah.
And another neat part about the Knuckles thing is, since it is a distinctly Knuckles level, they're allowed to do stuff that they wouldn't be able to do otherwise. Because, like, in the older games, it always felt like Knuckles was, I don't want to say, like, little brother mode or anything, because it wasn't, like, strictly easier, but there was a lot of things you could shenanigan around by gliding and climbing that you could just kind of ignore. So that level kind of removes that to a certain extent. It's like, no, we know you're Knuckles. You're gonna play like Knuckles. I like that.
2 from me. I like the Fighters Megamix references, but that's about it for me.
This might seem blasphemous, but I love the aesthetic and music, but it goes by too quick, and half of the level I don't like, so I'll probably give it a 2.
Yeah, you know, I thought the plane. I think this is probably the only zone I'm gonna give it 2, because I think the plane section too is just slow. You just stand on the plane, you just wait.
As a caveat, if we're talking about Knuckles, then I'm gonna give it a 3, but as anybody else, I'd give it a 2.
For me, Act 1 is a 1 and Act 2 is a 5, so I gotta give it a 3, just because, like, I really like Act 2 so much, but Act 1, I super don't like so much.
Okay, Oil Ocean. I know this has a lot of different thoughts on it, but I liked it more than its original form. That's a given.
Yeah, I liked it quite a bit. I liked how shit could catch on fire now. That was pretty cool.
I love that about every level, how the elemental shields incorporate in so many different ways.
Yeah, I thought it was really particularly noticeable in Oil Ocean. To the point where Act 2 is pretty much entirely built around the whole, like, you fucking lit it on fire!
Yeah, you'd think that place would fucking explode if you got a fire shield.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of things you'd think about, you would think that the, like, turning off or, like, getting the air to be breathable again in Act 2 would be, like, super annoying, but it's actually, I actually didn't find it was that annoying. Because the switches are always right there, they're always easy to get to. There was never a tedious switch
nicely.
where, like, you miss platforming and you miss the switch and you gotta try doing it again. Like, they're all just there, so...
Yeah. Plus, if you're
pretty
Supersonic, it doesn't matter,
Yeah, like,
because Supersonic loses rings anyway.
Yes.
But yeah, like, it'll just shoot you out of a tube, and it'll shoot you directly onto one of those switches, and I think that's all of it. Plus, you can go into the submarines if you want, which is kind of a neat little touch, so that's cool. Yeah. Oil Ocean, the levels were pretty okay. It's a shame about the bosses, though, huh?
Oh boy.
I think the first boss's biggest weakness is just that once you've seen where you get boosted up to a single time, there's no more threat. Because the only obstacles are the spikes on the side and the wrench that he limply throws.
It's just a one-time fuck
Yeah,
you guaranteed for me. It's like a 2 out of 3 that you just get killed once.
And technically,
because
you can hit the fires
Yeah.
under the switches or under the things, the boost things, but like that's not really a possibility.
This one is the second boss that I was talking about earlier. There are 2 bosses in this game.
Yeah, I knew that it was who you were talking about right away.
This one, I beat it without him doing a single attack on my first playthrough, and I was like, what? What just happened?
He doesn't even have official name yet. He's just the wrench robot.
I didn't see his real attack until my 4th playthrough, maybe, because I was like, I want to see what he can do.
Yeah, I really think that the wrench robot needed to be able to change up where he was hitting, or like which caps were unsafe on the ground. Like if the entire ceiling had spikes and there was a tell and you had to get off the ones that would boost up, that would make him more interesting.
Yeah.
But
that's a pretty classic
but
game
the
mechanic.
fact that the center 2 are safe 100% of the time and the ones on the sides are not, it just totally kneecaps any depth this boss would have. So every subsequent playthrough with him is like, either you can't touch me or I'll get hit by the wrench once, but those spikes become completely useless.
And the first time you play him, it really is like, I don't know, I had some people saying maybe you could see it when you were coming in or something, or if you happened to stand still and hold up on the D-pad to look up, but like, I sure as shit didn't notice where the safe spot was on the ceiling my first time, so it literally was just a 1 in 3 chance to live, and it's like, oh,
no,
okay,
totally.
well, that's
the
cute,
first
I
time,
guess. Thanks.
it's nothing. It's like Oil Ocean Zone Act 2. Yeah, I think this boss is pretty divisive, to be frank. I like him a lot because
Do people actually like him?
I like him.
you do.
I like him because he's an incredible remix of Oil Ocean's boss in Sonic 2. He's like. I mean, I can't speak to the original Sonic and Sonic 3 bosses because I just don't have experience with those games as much. But this boss is like, he's just a reimagining of that same boss. In the previous game, or in the previous game, in Sonic 2, he had the laser and he had the spiky thing that would jump over the platforms, and then you just jump down and hit a little Eggman capsule. In this one, he has the full octopus and the gun things. And I don't know.
Why does it have the turrets though?
Yeah, the turrets. The thing about the turrets that I didn't like was they forced you to kind of play a lot more conservatively. But on the other hand, I think that kind of puts him in the pile with the bosses that actually require thoughtful play. Because even on your second and third playthrough, you can't get lazy.
I got a game over on my second playthrough with him.
Yeah, this was where I got my first game over too, because he's challenging.
I game overed. I think I game over 2 or 3 times, but for me it was less because it was challenging and more because this boss, worse than any other, is covered in so many death plane bugs.
The platforms going up have killed me sometimes. I don't know why.
Going up, really? How so? I haven't seen it.
Yep. It's killed me too sometimes.
Like the platforms, when they're in the oil itself and moving up or down, it doesn't matter. Just they become a death plane, and I have no concept why. Like you can be standing on the platform.
I think
it's
because if you're like half submerged in the oil, it thinks that you're being caught between the oil and the platform as it's spawning in.
So like even if you're above them and they're coming,
Something like
they're
that.
pushing you up out of the oil, that can still.
And you're coming up, they'll
that
kill
seems
you.
like
They'll just
It's
instantly kill you.
consistently happened to me
Yeah.
whenever I'm down there. And that's the thing, is that you're always going to be down there if you're hitting the boss.
Yeah,
And they
absolutely,
raise up.
absolutely. Yeah, I had never seen that bug actually, so that seems like that needs fixing.
Yeah, it's hard to. Yeah, it's hard to eval based on that. I think if the turrets fired a little slower and the bullets were a little clearer, I would be alright with it if they fixed the death plane bugs. As it stands now, I really hate it. One of my friends who's one of the most talented people I know at playing games came into there with 30 lives. On his first playthrough, I might add, was at 30 lives of that boss, and took like, what is it, 19, 20 deaths? Something like that to that boss, just to either the turrets randomly deciding to pick him off, or the death plane bugs occurring, stuff like that. And this also has the problem where, like I was saying with the ring system, if you take a hit once, they're gone.
Yeah,
They're just gone.
you might
They
get
fall
them
into
once,
the oil,
but
and
that's
you
really not
don't
as
get another
reliable
hit.
with the bosses, yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of, I think, hamstrings the joy that this boss could have, because it just makes it tense and less in a fun way and more in a, I'm just mad
I'm
at
so
turrets
impatient when I get to
today
lasers too, because
way.
lasers take too long to come up and shoot you.
I like this boss because he promotes a different playstyle. All the other bosses up to now, you just kind of can rush down on them. I think the only exceptions are Heavy Shinobi. Yeah, I think that's the only exception. And I like how this boss like genuinely promotes a defensive playstyle where when he comes up, you have to watch out for the lasers. But once the lasers are out of the way, you don't have to fucking worry about anything. You can go right in.
That's the thing for me is that the lasers are so easy to avoid that it just becomes a waiting contest where you're like, okay, he's gonna shoot the lasers, and I just stand here and wait for the octopus to come.
Well, like out of boredom, I'm jumping in place and just running back and forth constantly when the lasers are coming, just because I'm so
lasers. You literally just hold crouch, and then as soon as he goes to shoot a low one, you jump over it, and if he doesn't, you just keep holding
sorry, I
crouch,
didn't mean those
and that's
lasers. I
it,
meant
and
the
you're
ones
good.
that are shot by the little things that pop up alongside.
See, those
the
ones can
octopus.
catch me off guard sometimes.
Yeah,
but
those are the ones you have to avoid. Is what
if you want to avoid them, that's the thing.
Like,
if you want to avoid them, you're probably going to want to not hit the boss, which just makes it go even longer. That's why I just hate him. I don't think he's particularly hard, but I've never liked him because he goes... I think in the entirety of Oil Ocean, my biggest problem is that it's probably not the longest stage in the game, but I don't particularly like anything in Oil Ocean, and it just takes forever, longer than I want it to, especially the end boss.
Yeah. For me, when I'm playing Sonic, I don't really want to be like hanging out waiting or being patient. I want to be mainlining Sonic. I want to be going as fast as goddamn possible all the time. I want to be a reckless idiot. That is what I play Sonic for. And this boss is just like boredom in general. It's like boredom with the chance of you randomly die. And that to me is abysmal, especially because if you die there again, enjoy Oil Ocean Act 1 and 2 again. Hope you liked Wrenchbot. You're gonna see him again. Your pal Wrenchbot. Here he goes. And
it's me, Wrenchbot. How's it going?
Hey, how's it going? I brought my... Oh, okay, you killed me already. Well, I'll see you tomorrow.
Bugs
I wasn't too keen on
Bugs notwithstanding, of course, just because I didn't see them, so... and I mean, they should be fixed anyway. Those are just bugs.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, I hope they put out a fucking patch soon because I'd like to use my fucking home button on my Switch. Christ.
There's definitely a delay there. It's really
weird. Anyway, even putting it to sleep. Anyway. But I liked the boss because I liked how much of an evolution he was on the Sonic 2 one. I'm curious if you guys know which ones are good evolutions on the Sonic or Sonic 3 bosses because I don't know which ones are. And I think this one really charmed me in that way. I also kind of like fighting out of the oil, like when you're in the oil and jumping around, because the oil's not dangerous itself, like you don't sink quickly or anything. So I kind of like that change up to your movement, where you have to rely on like small humps and stuff. I don't know, that's just me.
I think if the rings floated, I would be.
It is a bummer how fast you lose the rings, considering how sturdy this boss is.
8 hits. He takes 8 hits.
Yeah, he's a tough one. I also...
Plus, if you're going for the turrets,
I was gonna say I really do like when the turrets are coming up. How if you're on top of them immediately, you can just blow up a turret like right quick. That's really satisfying to play.
All right, this gets a 2 from me. I like the stages, just don't like the bosses.
I definitely give it a 3 because I didn't think it was as dull as Mirage, Saloon, and I always like the slides in this zone. They're kind of nothing. You just kind of get on and they point you in a direction.
They're fun. They're water slides, except they burn.
I like his animation. His like with his arms up. Yeah.
His panicked slide of I'm not running, but I'm going fast.
I think my least favorite thing about the stage actually was the submarines because they just slow you down.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The only thing that I can really say I like about it is when I learned that the fire shield can burn the oil. And after that, it's sort of like, even though the Act 2 haze stuff is easy, it's still like, oh, Studiopolis is like my least favorite zone from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Why'd you have to bring back memories to fucking the ghosts and the Crush stuff? And so, I don't know. And it goes on way too long. I don't like either of the bosses. I don't necessarily I don't like... When it's coming up, I don't despise it, but it gets a 1. I don't really care for it.
Yeah, Oil Ocean is a 1 for me. For, the reasons we literally just expounded upon, so I won't repeat them.
This actually is the lowest so far at 7 points. Nice. All right. Lava Reef Zone. This is kind of forgettable for me, I think. Second zone was kind of neat, but playing with Knuckles on a certain jump towards the very end was kind of bullshit, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
God.
That's a really bad jump.
This for me is the least memorable zone, as in I can't fucking remember it at
You're
all.
in lava, and then you're in crystals.
It didn't introduce anything. Yeah, there's nothing it really introduced, or if there was any new mechanic it introduced, I'll be damned if I can remember it.
There weren't any new mechanics, but it brought back some stuff from CD, which is kind of cool. I mean, the thing that you have to jump on to make it move its legs isn't really remarkable, but I like the conveyor belt stuff here, where you have to switch the direction of it.
Yeah.
Those two are from Sonic CD, though. I don't think there's anything that this stage can call new.
Well, I was gonna say, did people like this stage in its original incarnation?
I don't know.
I don't know.
All I know is that I know a few people who really love it for the music and the aesthetic, but I don't know how they feel about the actual level. And it's been so long since I beat Sonic 3 and Knuckles, I don't even remember how I feel about it in Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
I'm tempted to believe they just added it just because they needed a cave lava stage.
Gotta put in another Sonic 3 and Knuckles level.
I mean, that said, in Mania, Lava Reef is pretty damn cool for me. I think it's one of the more memorable zones for me. I don't really know, like, it's hard to describe why. I just really like the music, and the aesthetic's not brilliant, but I just like how the level plays. I kind of like, this one in particular has a lot of pathways that you can platform up to. And, I mean, I don't know, it's not, like, spectacular, but I'm having a really hard time placing why I like it at all. I don't know.
It's fine. We're not on the grand jury deciding your
Yeah.
character based on how much you like Sonic stages. So.
Yeah.
Or are we?
I am.
No, I don't know. No, I don't know what the deal is with this stage either, but I also thought it was just totally unremarkable.
I'm with Liam 100% on this. It's a lot like Hydrocity, where I couldn't describe it to you other than there's stompy legs and you ride on a dino,
Yeah.
I guess.
I
at
did
one
get
point.
crushed by some
stuff
boxes in the
breaks.
second part.
That's cool.
Twice.
Nice.
I actually think that these bosses were also my least favorite bosses. The first boss, which Thomas named Driller Droid.
His name is definitely Driller Droid officially.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was.
He's not bad. He's just like, I don't know.
He's kind of
He's not really,
like doesn't have any character either.
And when you get Supersonic, you can just stand in place the entire way and just wait for his armor to come off.
And the second boss, the Heavy Rider, who's riding around on this little bug robot unicycle.
Tell me the
thing.
strategy for this, because I had just had to keep jumping up and hoping I didn't get hit by the maze.
Well, yeah, I don't know what the strategy was.
What's the strategy for this one?
The strategy is to get the flame shield, because if you use the homing attack on the flame shield, you never get hit by
Yeah,
the
because
spike.
you go right through. What's the non-flame shield strategy?
I don't fucking know. Just
Mine was just to jump at him when his spinny ball was behind
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
That was
it's
the
hard
only
to
strat I
gauge
had.
that sometimes, and you just take a hit.
It's a really, really cute boss, but I think it's a boss that
I love when he makes
fun
the jump
anyway.
and they have the Sonic CD cheers.
Yeah, the little kids. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
And so Liam, this is one of the stages that has a different boss if you play as Knuckles. It has the Heavy King.
Shit, damn.
I actually like this boss a lot more. And the animation
I
plays
used to play
before
through
it.
his Knuckles.
See, I played Knuckles an entire playthrough once, so I don't even remember what his boss was.
You're in the Chaos Gem. Like,
Yeah, I
room,
remember that
and,
part.
yeah,
I
and
just
then he
don't
shoots
like.
stuff at you.
Was it the same thing that was the Supersonic final boss almost, but he's not Supersonic? It's
Yeah,
like-
well, yeah, because you have to jump at him, and he shoots.
Yeah.
The first
what
part.
I'm
where
saying is that like it's the same model of Hard-Boiled Heavy, right?
Yeah, he launches those 8 balls at you, and when he runs out, you can hit him.
I just don't remember how the fight plays because I only did it once. That was a couple weeks or whenever the game came out.
Yeah,
probably the second day.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that boss a lot more than Heavy Rider.
I mean, the fact that I don't remember it badly is probably good.
Any opinions on it, Ty?
I also forgot what it was, if we're being
Okay.
real. So I'm
no
in
problem.
that
It's
boat.
forgettable. 2 from me.
Yeah, 2.
2.
4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't really know why, but I just find it fun
That's
whenever
fair.
I go there.
That's
Plus,
fair.
the music's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, that's all right. I don't remember it, but it's all right.
Personally, I don't think there was any 1 zones for me. Any 1 ranking zones now that we're like getting towards the end and I'm looking at them. Unless Egg Reverie Zone's some disaster, which I doubt it is.
I mean, spoiler
it's just the
alert,
it's just the final
It's
boss.
just the
agree.
final
I'm probably
boss.
not going to give
Yeah.
any of the
Okay,
other
yeah.
ones upcoming a 1. So.
But yeah, like looking back on the list now, like I don't think there was any 1s. There's nothing. There's no stage that I dread. And for me, it's definitely.
My only
Mirage,
one
so
for Oil Ocean wasn't necessarily because I dread it, it's just because it's my least favorite zone.
Oh, that's fair. Totally.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, 1 doesn't mean abysmal, it just means worst in Sonic Mania, which is a pretty high bar, as it turns out. Yeah.
Okay, Metallic Madness. I like this one, and I like Mini Sonic too.
You know, Mini Sonic's great. Mini anyone, because anyone can go mini.
The bees with the
they're
maces,
so
I'm
good.
not a fan of, but all the other enemies are pretty. Well, actually, no. The Buzzsaw ones I don't like either, but all the other enemies are pretty easy to deal with.
When I first played the game, this was my least favorite zone, but as I've played it, I came to realize, I'm like, well, it is from Sonic CD, so it has some of those moments, but again, they ported it over in a way where I'm pretty ambivalent. Like, it doesn't really annoy me, and I can really appreciate the foreground and background stage gimmick and the one where you shrink, because it's really cute. The level design isn't spectacular. I think this has, like, I've tried exploring in this place, and it just feels kind of like it doesn't want you to. So, I don't know.
You always get railroaded really hard in the stage.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that's just the problem with the level design with the second part too. You have to make it so players can only move through certain areas.
Yeah. It's grown on me, but it's still not one of, like, it's not remarkable, I'd say.
I think the only remarkable stuff is the bosses, which I thought were both really
The second
enjoyable.
boss was like, wow. Like, he's not really hard, but he's
Amazing.
So
cute.
cool, yeah.
And you adjust your own difficulty. We'll get to it.
I love Metallic Madness. Yeah, I'll jump in and say I really like this level. It feels like it's cranking up the difficulty of the maneuvers they expect you to do without it slowing you down or stopping you as much. And also, I think a lot of the hazards that are in the way are pretty well telegraphed. Like, as much as I still hate those buzzsaw beetles that you're talking about, like, those things still suck ass. At the very least, they've got big fuck off buzzsaws. They're pretty noticeable. Like, you can catch them. I mean, and if you're going blistering fast, you're probably gonna run into them. But like, they're there and they're not really unfair because they're huge and they're obvious. And I feel like
I mean,
Metallic-
yeah, it ain't no Metropolis, so.
yeah, I just really like that you can go pretty quickly and it feels fairly smooth without being like, it doesn't feel like it has the little Sonic like gotchas in it at all. It doesn't have little like gotcha, thanks for the life, idiot, have fun, good one, good round. And the little gimmicks in it are awesome. The little foreground background thing, and the tiny Sonic thing is just the best. It's just the best. And I love the music in Metallic Madness. That's the other thing too, is I'm not huge on Sonic CD's OST on the whole. I think it's pretty not my
Fucking
favorite.
blasphemy.
But Metallic Madness, I know, right? The version they did of Metallic Madness, I really, really liked. I really do like it.
Yeah, the music I can say wholeheartedly is fucking great, but I love Sonic CD's soundtrack, so it's to be expected.
Yeah, and a lot of that mood carried over into the DS.
I think in
games.
general, T. Lopes is very inspired by Sonic CD
Yeah.
in his music.
Okay, so the bosses. The first boss is actually the final boss from Sonic 1, and I thought that was a nice spin on that without being. Well, plus you can actually spin dash, so it was really easy.
I mean,
it does
it is the final boss from Sonic 1, so it's not brilliant, but it's not like bad, and it's a cool callback. I think my thing is that the way that they quote unquote evolve it, his second part of that boss is just, once I learned that every fourth thing is him, then it's just a non-issue. It's even easier than the first one. So.
Although the first time through, it's pretty exciting because you're like, oh shit, all of these things are moving. What do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like it, and I think it highlights how far Sonic has come mechanically from where it was a game where if you're stopping and you're trying to move, you are unbelievably slow, which is why that boss is hard in Sonic 1. But you have spin dash, you have honestly just tighter control overall. Sonic just feels better to move. You have drop dash if you're so inclined to know how that works. You have like all these different options, and it takes it from being a really obnoxious instant kill boss to something that, like, I don't know, it's a gameplay.
That's the other thing is that they give you rings. I don't think they gave you rings in the first game.
No, I think it was a one-hit. I think it was one-hit kill in the first one, I believe. So,
like the trash compactor earlier, I like this boss because it clearly just imposes stress on the player, where it's like, okay, here's the death zone. Here it's coming. Are you dead? No. Yes. No. Like it's very clear, and it's constantly stressful all the way to the end. But it's also like easy stress for the player to deal with, as in it's not hard to dodge the things.
Yeah,
but it's
because you're thinking the whole time.
Yeah, it's the
exciting.
Constant tells of this is a death zone, and it's not. It doesn't fuck with you. You're just dead, you know. So I really dig the boss for that reason. Where it's just like
I think maybe this boss is the reason they were reluctant to remove crush deaths, because it would kind of be like it kind of ruined this boss.
Well, I think crush death still should exist for sure, definitely.
Oh yeah, I think there needs to be a couple more pixels of forgiveness on either side, because when you jump into two squares that are moving left and right, then you jump into them from the left, and then you die because the game can't solve the collision. That's what I mean.
At least in this one, it's really obvious.
Like this crush
like in this one, the intent is the crush death. Like you get stood under this fucking crusher and you get crushed. And I'll go back to the spider that annoyed me, where it's like, the spikes are on the side so that you can hit the enemy and so that you can accidentally blast yourself into the wall and take a hit, but then getting crushed by the spikes because you bounce off the spider, like that just sucks. That's like that doesn't feel like the intended way for you to die, you know what I mean? It feels like a side effect, so...
It feels like a bug almost. Like it really does. It feels like it's obviously not. It's part of the engine, but it feels like something that in another game would be a bug or a glitch.
Unintended death method. You know, I think they did intend it and they got it because they knew. Like they obviously knew it was there, but now I'm just rambling about the spider. But the fucking Crusho, what's the name of the boss? Crusho. That's his name, Crusho. Crusho was great.
Eggman's Big Pistons.
Okay. Gasha Pandora. I really like this boss because you can make your own difficulty by just saying them all at once.
So this one's a Gashapon machine with two sides. Yeah. Well, I mean the sides are irrelevant, but it's a Gashapon machine that has 10 capsules, and when you jump past the middle of the machine, it twists the thing and it drops out a capsule, and the capsule contains a mini version of an older Sonic boss to go along with the fact that you're mini Sonic, or it contains a mini Amy robot.
Old style Amy.
And it's just so charming to see the little tank enemy, to see the little floating Eggman boss, and like how they're little toys to complement the fact that you're miniature. I thought this was one of the most charming and novel bosses in the game.
And then you beat him by saying him through the machine itself. It's very
you plop him out. Yeah.
I was grinning from ear to ear throughout that entire boss fight. It was just I was charmed to death.
I think the only thing I would have liked more about it is if there was more different bosses to fight during it.
Oh yeah.
Which would just would make the patterns a lot tougher to go through. But boy, if there was if they were all unique, if there was 10 unique ones, that would have been nuts.
Yeah,
so, I know that's a bit much, but God, that would have been nuts. I would love that.
Shoot for the moon. Sonic Mania 2 could be a 12 out of 10.
Well, if they had 10 bosses, then it wouldn't be as because the bosses they do have are kind of easy.
Mm-hmm. It could have been like a real gotcha machine, have like one really rare thing that drops every 10 playthroughs.
Yeah.
You get that 7-star egg.
That'd be fucking cool, actually. I would like that.
Okay, I give it a 3.
Yeah, 3.
It's our rooms being so long, but where we're at.
That's okay.
Somehow this is longer than a Nier podcast. We're at 2 hours.
Not having decimal points is a real struggle here. I'd probably go with a 4 on Metallic Madness. I like the music a lot too, so.
I'm on a 4 for this zone. I like its difficulty.
That leaves it at 14 points, so right in the middle. Okay, final normal zone, and this is also a new one, Titanic Monarch. I think
two. Can't deal.
I think this. I've gotten timeouts on my first 2 playthroughs on this. I like it, but I think it's long.
Playthrough 1, I would have given this probably a 2 on subsequent playthroughs.
I
totally agree.
For me, I love the way it flows once you know what you're doing.
It's a wild stage, and I game overed multiple times on the second act boss on my first playthrough because of the fucking wizard phase. Because I can't deal with that. The one I don't even know what to call it. The one where the boss appears from out from under a hat and you get laser blasted.
Yeah, the
3-card Monty thing.
Phase it's so easy to tell where he is, but he pops out so fast
that
you can never get where you need to go.
Exactly. I always know where he is, but I can't make it to a safe spot. And if you have no ring, you're just dead. And not having a ring by there is a total possibility because of how long the fight is. I think the fight's really good, but that one I always didn't like. Anyway, the actual zone, it's demanding. It's really demanding. There's a lot going on. A lot of different mechanics present. The energy orbs are really enjoyable mechanically.
It took me a little while to learn how to actually rotate around them at first, but once you get handle them, then they're pretty fun.
Yeah. The moment you get it, you get it. You never fuck them up ever again.
I really like how the stage is around the giant robot.
Yeah, and I like how much the stage asks of you. I like how much the stage asks you to bounce off of those yellow bouncy walls. In previous Sonic games, I feel like those were reserved for corridors that would just be filled with them on both sides, which this stage has in spades. But it also, the stage also demands that you use the fields in conjunction with those walls in order to bounce yourself strategically, and that was really, really fun. I thought that was really enjoyable.
Did you notice that if you had a lightning shield and there are lightning walls, you'll stick to them?
Yes, it was very cool.
I think it's pretty cool.
It was a good thing.
I really love this zone. The first time, I feel like the thing that hits this zone the hardest is the 10-minute time limit, because this level, I didn't get a timeout through all of Mania, but I talk about how much I rush through these games when I play them. It's just how I am. But even I was at I think 7.5 minutes or something on Act 2 the first time I beat it, and that's so long. That's the kind of length people bitch about Sonic 06 for. That's a really long Sonic
I've been
level.
Following through with a boss guide here just to have visuals for the bosses, just to remind myself from some website. And I'm looking at the fucking screenshot for their Act 1 boss, and the timer says 9:58:81, and I'm like, boy, did one last thing before he died. But yeah, you run out of time in this stage. On your first playthrough, I think it's liable that half of players will probably run out of time.
If not more. Yeah, it's real easy.
Even on subsequent plays, you're totally right. Hitting 7 minutes is not. It's not crazy.
Well, how fast can you go through these stages? Do you know, Ty?
God, stage 1 is pretty fast. There's actually, and I was gonna bring this up, so that's actually a really good thing you mentioned.
Nice, yeah.
Act 2 has a huge problem in time attack. So time attack, the way it works in Sonic Mania is you don't start the timer until you go past the little spinner that they have at the beginning, and then it ends at an end spinner. Normally that's fine, so you don't fight any of the bosses too, which I appreciate, because I think that's the worst part of doing Sonic speedruns. But Titanic Monarch Zone 2, for some reason, they put the ending flag in just one of the 4 corridors. So you just skip 3/4 of the level when you do the time attack.
Damn, that's
there's just no reason to do 3 out of the 4 areas. It sucks. So or they could just have you need to go through the portal, and then when you land out of the portal, there's a little spinner. It's not an.
Or you think the purple mist would have teleported you to the next zone, them in some kind of sequential order.
Yeah, there was a lot of ways to do it, and it's just really, really bizarre that they didn't, and it really it's just weird because the time attack boards on the whole are really cool, and the biggest problem with them is that they don't have any kind of input replay feature. which is something that I feel like leaderboards really should have and probably should have had since about 2005. Like, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts had one of the most perfect leaderboard playback systems in games, and I would really appreciate. I know that's a really odd one to reference, but it's a really good one.
I think that's a good choice though, because you want to see the best machines get across. Yeah,
no, I mean, if it's good, it's good. Absolutely.
Exactly. And so you watch somebody like break their entire machine apart, stop time, fucking Zawarudo wrench, and then just assemble it so it's just a chair on a spring, angle it just right, and rocket themselves into the sky like a dipshit. Hell yeah, it's amazing. Like, you see somebody get a time of like, 15 seconds, and you're like, how the fuck did you get 15 seconds? Mine was 8.5 minutes. What the hell did you do? And so you can like go look at it, and it's a super cool feature. And the time attack boards for Sonic Mania don't have that, and it kills me because this is so easy. Like,
also, you can catch the
programming is very complicated.
Catch the cheater. Yeah. You can catch the cheaters if you have video evidence.
Oh yeah, like Pac-Man Championship Edition DX had that, where people would have scores of like 100 billion, and then you'd go to watch the replay, and Pac-Man's just sitting in one of the corners, and time counts down. So, yeah.
Yeah, no. The stage is cool though. It's long. It's fucking long, but it's.
Yeah, my
it's got
fastest.
A lot of fun stuff going on.
My fastest clear time for Act 2 is 5 minutes. So
it's very telling. Yeah. What do you guys think of the Act 1 boss? The tower.
Crimson Eye, it's called, because it's based on an existing one.
That one's from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, I think. The second part of it isn't, but I think the first phase was in Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Were his projectiles also goddamn invisible in Sonic 3 and Knuckles?
Yep. That's the other point.
Yeah.
Just like Ninja Block guy.
Well, life's good when you're Ninja Block.
Yeah, that was what I was referencing, actually.
Nice.
I extremely wish they would not have brought Crimson Eye back. I think this is one of the, when I was talking about like 30% of the bosses in this game could probably have been cut, this is one that's
the first phase, I would agree, but the second one's pretty cool. But yeah, first phase is kind of like...
Second phase
takes a little bit to figure out when to jump, when the time you jump, when the elevator moves.
I really admire the desire to have a unique boss at every act. I think that's really awesome, but I am inclined to agree at this point that, like, yeah...
It would be nice if they were good.
Could probably aspire to have a good boss at the end of every act, yeah.
They do make it a lot more memorable, though. Eggman, I think he's a bit long in the tooth, but he's alright.
Yeah, I've never really been bothered by the quote-unquote final boss. It's not really the final boss, but, like, I've never really been too bothered by him because, he is the final boss. He probably should be long. And I don't think it's overbearingly long.
I think there's a lot of waiting around moments, though, when you're teleporting to the heavy...
yeah, because once you learn that you don't actually have to kill the mini-bosses, you can just avoid them.
Yeah.
I don't... Yeah.
The Blade Wheel Boy in particular, don't try and kill him. You're just gonna get killed.
I really like this boss, actually, despite the fact that I died multiple times against him and had to replay the whole zone, which is annoying. Because it's such a fucking long zone. But I really like this boss, except for two things, which was, you don't have to challenge the mini-bosses at all. Just dodge and shit. Like, that's dumb.
It wouldn't be too much of a problem if maybe when you beat them you got like some reward for it, but
like maybe like a ring, like
yeah, but as far as I can tell, you even if you go after them, nothing happens. So I don't know.
It ends the phases faster. That's literally it. You can knock them out of the phases faster.
For casual playthrough, there's no purpose there. It's just
so there's
and then there's the fucking magic dude who pops out of the hat and fucking zaps you. And, like, he zaps you so fucking fast.
If they gave you a little bit more time to react, then it would be easy, because...
Or had you choose one, or, like, you had to pick one as Sonic.
What's your
you can always tell where he's...
for dodging them at this point, though?
Mine's 0.
You can always tell where he's at, but it's just, like,
you can't
happens too fast.
Yeah, because I dodged it once, and, like, I must have fought him, like, 5 or 6 times.
I've never dodged it.
So tedious.
Especially because he's the third mini-boss, and like you said earlier, by that point, it's likely you might have 0 rings.
Are there 4 of them? I think there are 4, right?
I've never gotten past the top hat. Well, I always beat him before the top hat one. So.
There's a bike one afterwards, but I never seen past that one.
Is there seriously another one? Because I've never seen it. Kind of want to go research that.
I honestly wish he was just more of a structured boss. Like I would have really liked if you destroy a tentacle, then have to fight the mini boss and then do it again and again and again and again. And you have like a big drag out 4-phase.
Granted, I hope it was easy enough
as,
because
like, a
otherwise
big
you'd have to do the whole
grand
zone
fight.
again.
Yeah, but
This is one of those times where the life system really causes a huge problem in that I love this boss. I think this boss is fucking awesome, but it's so easy to game over here, and when you game over here, it means, yeah, like 10 plus minutes of redoing a stage, and like, that is such a buzzkill when it should be this grand moment.
Yeah, and like to listeners, 10 minutes doesn't sound like much, but when you have to be on top of your game with this, so.
Also, it's 10 minutes of Sonic time.
if you fuck around in this stage, there's like a spot that you can get squashed. There's a couple places you can easily just instantly lose a life in the stage if you're not like paying attention. So, yeah, no, if I would only change like make the fucking dude in the hat not so fucking crazy. It's ridiculous. You can't fucking dodge him. You can't dodge that reliably at all.
You know, something I actually do appreciate about the second phase boss is that once you get to him and he starts, it resets the timer.
Oh, nice.
So
okay, that's good. At
it
least
doesn't carry over your F2 time.
because
which is
that boss fight
probably
takes
intentional.
that boss fight could take like 4 minutes by itself anyway. So.
And that kind of exposes that it's flawed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's someone QA
exactly,
tested and
that
said,
they
"Oh
need
shit,
to
no one's
fix it
so I-
manually."
Yeah, it's almost like it should read 99.
Yeah.
It's almost like you shouldn't have timeouts.
One thing that's like more of a repeat playthrough issue than it is the first one is when he goes to get you with the Phantom Ruby hands, you actually
Just jump into them,
cannot
yeah.
dodge those. I literally, like, at one point, I had someone who was like, yeah, no, if you dodge them for a bit, they go away. So I just showed them vis-a-vis drop dashing and spin dashing. I dodged them for a
can't do
minute
it,
and a
yeah.
half straight. You can't. It just keeps going.
It's like it's a nice
It's just like-
idea, but I kind of wish they just appeared on Sonic and Tails and just grabbed you instantly. You know?
Because why give the illusion that you can dodge
Or just,
them
like,
if
very
you can't dodge
fast.
them?
Yeah, but I don't think that illusion of freedom has any benefit here, considering there is no possibility of it.
I would like if they just like appeared and were very fast and grabbed Sonic. Like I think that would be
Yeah, I think the way they are, I don't really like them because it gives the player the illusion that there's a possibility of freedom, and thus when you get caught, if you're not aware, it feels like a fail state.
Well, the fact that you can even dodge them
Yeah.
for so long is in itself a problem.
Yeah, it's kind of wild that you can go for that long. I remember
Yeah.
at the beginning, like, dodging them a little and being like, yeah, you can't do it too much. But then after a few plays, I was like, whoa, you could just keep going. You could just time yourself out here.
I mean, it's a cool self-imposed challenge.
You can spin dash
but
under him and then drop
it's
dash over
confusing.
him. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they should just, they should either rush in or just spawn right on you, yeah.
Yeah, especially since they restart the timer there. I almost would have liked if there was like not even just like a regular checkpoint. I really would have liked if instead of being a checkpoint, they did a like faux final zone almost, since obviously there's the bonus, you know, the egg reverie or whatever. But if they made this just like Phantom Ruby Zone or something, and it was just like you and Eggman, and that zone is just this fight. Nothing else, it's just this. Act 1, Zone 1, this. This is what it is.
Well, they've done it in the past. It's worked.
Yeah,
so.
and it works really well, and I think they should have done that for here. I think it would have been way better.
I'm not inclined to disagree with that, especially because that would also offer up an opportunity to have like a first phase as the finale to Titanic Monarch Zone, and then like an easier first phase that's like almost a victory lap on Titanic Monarch Zone. And then
That kind of reminds me, I don't know if this is the idea you're going for, but it reminds me of the final boss of Sonic Unleashed that had platforming segments in it. Don't even get me started on that boss in general, by the way, but the platforming segments were always pretty cool and stand out. So I think if it was the same like that, then that'd be pretty cool.
Although don't get Liam started on Sonic Unleashed.
I hate that game. I can't deal.
I think if you like made it its own zone too, then you really could have it, you know, be like Liam suggested, where it's like, no, you fight each of these mini bosses. You beat them. Like, you have to fight these dudes. It's not just dodge them and run away. Like, you could have it be this full big, you know, to use a word that I generally hate, you could have it be a big epic. You could have it be this big, long production that's just super crazy.
Yeah. It's the finale. It you know, I think something suitably drawn out is a cool thing to do there. And it kind of bums me out that, like, the first time I outlasted one of the bosses and I just timed out, I was like, am I gonna have to fight him later? Like, am I gonna have to finish that off? You know? And it was just a bummer when you didn't. This boss is so half in the bag because I really, really like him, but I really think he could be better.
I give this zone a 3.
5.
5.
I give it a 3 as well.
I'm
I'm backing off my 2 from earlier.
It's such a fitting.
Yeah, I
final
really
zone.
love it as a final zone.
I think like the way it looks and the music, and I don't know. I like the level design too. I don't generally care that it goes on too long.
On my first run through, I did 3 of the zones. I got a timeout and it resets all of them, and that just took the win out of my sails.
Oh.
Yeah, I would like it if it weren't for the time limit, so because it was fun. Okay, so for listeners who haven't got there, after collecting all 7 Chaos Emeralds, you get to fight a final boss, a real one, and it's the Phantom King. King, do you want to kind of describe how this boss works, since I know you did before?
Yeah. It's funny, there's not a whole lot to describe, other than the fact that, like every other supersonic boss fight in pretty much any game, once you run out of rings, you die. I always assumed that the reason was because you were in space, but obviously Sonic can breathe in space because he runs normally in the final boss. I don't know. I won't make sense of that, but just don't run out of rings. Easier said than done, I'll say. You can... There's like a mechanic in it where you can dash, and it takes away 10 rings.
It kills you, yeah.
It's fucking useless. Never use it, because even when you use it to hit a boss, you'll just... you don't phase through the hazards. You'll just hit the hazard, and then it's like, oh, well, I just lost 10 rings for no reason.
Yeah,
and there's a big flash of light, so you can't even see who the fuck you're dashing anyway. I don't know.
That dash is a callback to a different game, and I can't remember which one, where Sonic had like a little light teleport dash that 8 rings, but it's bad. It's really bad in that fight.
The boss itself is kind of like... I love the music, but holy fuck, that boss is just boring.
Well, it's literally, you don't push any buttons, you just move the whole time.
Yeah, it's just 2 cycles of the exact same thing, and it feels like they made it so long and so repetitive just so you'll have a chance to lose your rings and die.
Yeah. And the thing is, the way to trivialize that boss, and this is kind of what kills it for me, is to specifically make it a no-fun zone. If you just fly Sonic to the ground and just deal with it mostly on the ground, the boss is so unbelievably trivial. Yeah,
I didn't think of that.
Like if you're just like, man, fuck flying, I'll just walk around regular style, then the boss is just cake. The flying being a little slippery and like being a little tough to dodge the projectiles and stuff, that's like the only thing that makes it rough. And again, the whole it takes so long just to drain your rings. I mean, Eggman literally just all he does is just like does a little 100-hand slap to push you away. Like that's all he does. He's kind of like, yeah, he's just like, get out of here. Come on, Sonic, fuck off. Come on, I want that ruby. Like that's it. That's all he does.
I do like the concept of both the heavy and Robotnik fighting over the same thing back and forth. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's like a 3-way battle.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Otherwise, I don't really have much more say than.
I just wish it was more involved. Yeah. Funny enough, the boss before it we were just talking about feels like more of a final boss than the Supersonic boss fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not really, or it's pretty telling that, like, of all the final bosses in Sonic games that I can think of personally, I think my favorite one is Colors. And it's because it doesn't change the mechanics out of nowhere. And, like, I really dislike how much Sonic likes doing that.
They don't have a Supersonic boss fight out of nowhere.
Colors is just really good for that. Colors is the best.
Good.
Colors is the best.
It is the best.
But,
it's
like,
super is, Liam.
It's like what other pick, right? Like,
yeah. But yeah, like the last boss fight is just always, it's like, now do this different mechanic, and it feels like, due to the fact that it's usually only like a 30-second to 1-minute bit, it just never feels refined or polished. Like it feels like it's done before you got a chance to get a handle on it, and it feels slippery and weird. And
well, where I think that Sonic games can learn from Colors in particular with that final boss is that it's just, he uses all, like, the final boss is just platforming. Like, you either use the dash from side to side to avoid the blocks, or jump over the spike balls, and then he'll intertwine them with lasers. And it's also cool that it's the wisps. I know we're talking about colors now, and it's Sonic Mania, but like,
I know,
so much more.
It's so
involved.
hard not to, though, right?
It is. Well, especially when you look at like the fucking time eater at the end of Sonic Generations or like other shit, and it's like
this.
Do you
felt
guys
like
even
the Time
know
Eater.
what's good? Like, you did it with colors,
this felt
and then you fucked
exactly
up.
like the Time Eater.
Yeah.
Also,
that
I mean,
it just felt like you
Color's
do
final-
nothing for a while until you hit the boss.
Yeah, Color's final boss music is also completely broken and not fair. It's super not fair to compare any music to Color's. It's ridiculous. But back onto Sonic Mania, I guess. Yeah, this boss was pretty lackluster.
It's a 1.
I give it a
book.
2. I just gonna say mechanically it's probably a 1, but aesthetically I really do like it, so I have to give it a 2 just because I really like what they do overall. Like, I think it's really cool conceptually. But I would like to see this whole 3-way fight with Supersonic kind of done well. I would like to see that.
Those are exactly my thoughts, so I don't have to say anything else. Just to clarify, I gave that a 2 because, yeah.
Okay, so we won't count that one because Liam didn't play it and it's just his own little boss thing. So, according to our final results, the lowest scoring stage is Oil Ocean at 7 points. Highest is Chemical Plant at 20. Followed by
That seems
Studiopolis
apt.
and Press Garden, so... that sounds
As long
about
as
right.
Press Garden's not low.
Yeah, Chemical Plant was the only one to get a totally perfect score, which is unsurprising, but...
Yeah, there's only one part I don't
Well, that
like.
was the
and there's
best
that one
zone in
thing,
Sonic 2,
yeah.
so it's only naturally.
For me, it's Act 2. Act 2 is just killer. But yeah, let's go on.
Yeah.
Well, we did spend almost 3 hours complaining about Sonic Mania, despite the fact we love it. So, okay,
Well.
talking about things we can complain about. How about those Blue Sphere stages?
Yeah, we gotta talk about both these mini
God.
I don't like the Blue Sphere stages, but I like the UFO catcher.
I don't like the Blue Sphere mini game. Holy shit, I can't deal with it. Now, like, the mini game in Sonic 2 is really straightforward, and I appreciate how straightforward it is. It's easy. You're in a half pipe, you collect rings. Did you get enough rings? Keep going. If you do not, you don't keep going. I really appreciate the second mini game, which we'll get to after this, because it's so fucking straightforward and simple to understand, and you don't have to worry about nothing. You just play.
It's execution.
This fucking mini game is a mess. Like, okay, without instructions, because I did not know how this game worked, because I didn't play Sonic 3 really when I was younger. Without instructions, you have no fucking clue what you're supposed to do besides touch the blues and don't touch the reds. But that's only going to get you so far. You literally just can't get gold medals without knowing the deeper stuff. And good luck fucking figuring out the deeper stuff on your own. That will take a lot of failures to work out. So in this minigame, there's blue orbs and there's red orbs all around a sphere that you move around on a grid. You touch the blue orbs, they turn red and they become dangerous. You touch a red orb, the mission ends in a failure. You have to touch all the blue orbs, turn them all red in order to succeed, and you get a silver medal for that. To get a gold medal, you have to collect a quota of rings. The only way to get rings are to touch blue orbs, turning them red in such a way that they create a box around other blue orbs. Now, if you accidentally turned one of those red orbs in the box, or one of those blue orbs in the box red, they will just not turn into rings sometimes, and you will just not cash out rings, and you will not be able to get a gold. A single tiny mistake can completely fuck your run on these things, and it's not predictable which one you get. It's random, or at least random from a pool or something. I'm not sure exactly how they're seeded, but it's the most tedious, arduous thing. Also, because you move at a fair clip in the minigame, and it's hard to analyze on the fly sometimes in certain levels.
Especially the longer it goes.
Yeah,
it starts speeding up.
And some of them are crazy, where it's like, yo, get 100 rings. Just fuck off, get 100 rings. I can barely get 100 rings on the regular level.
And you can really screw yourself on a lot of them too, because you can cut off your path to getting across the stage.
There's also gold orbs in the missions, and if you hit a
And
gold
those are
orb,
new.
Yeah, if you hit a gold orb, you bounce a significant distance forward. It's a controlled bounce, but it is a bounce, and you literally can't see where you're going to land. And if you haven't memorized the layout of the level or how you've adjusted the level, sometimes you can shoot yourself right in front of a red orb.
Yeah, it's happened to me several times.
It has, and that just unless you have godlike reactions and are able to jump over it and happen to land somewhere safe, you're just done. You're cooked.
And the worst thing is these stages appear at every checkpoint if you have 25 rings, so they happen a lot.
That's what I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
If you're trying to go after them, it destroys. You're almost in blue spheres more than you're in the level.
Yeah, because they last a fair while.
That's why I try to avoid them. But if you get knocked into them,
yeah.
then you just kind of have to be like, oh well, time to jump in the red.
And there's also the star spheres that I haven't touched on because they're the least annoying, most reliable ones. But
most of the time.
But yeah, if you're a new user and you haven't had experience with this, the star ones will cause you to get upset at least once or twice. When you bump into the star ones, you bounce backwards, or you bounce in the sorry, that's incorrect. You bounce in the opposite direction you're moving. So if you touch one going backwards because you just hit a star one, you'll go forwards. However, that momentum is retained when turning. So if you hit one and then turn sideways, you'll continue moving backwards despite the fact that you turn 90 degrees. And you can move backwards into a red orb in that direction. And the only way to mitigate it is to hit up on the D-pad. You hit up on the D-pad after you.
And they don't telegraph that very well, so it took me a very long time, because what I used to do there is just try to hit a spring, because I didn't know you could hit up.
Yeah, no, me neither.
So I just tried to find a spring so that I could go forward again.
I think, obviously, in the case of most games, especially minigames, if they need to bog you down with tutorials, it's too much. And especially with minigames, I'd rather minigames kind of like are self-explanatory. I don't think this minigame is self-explanatory in the fucking least. This minigame has so many fucking things you have to figure out by yourself because it doesn't tell you anything. It tells you way too little that you can't possibly have a good experience with these minigames for your first, I don't know, 10 goes, 15 goes. Like, you can't possibly, right?
I didn't beat one my first run through.
I think I beat like 3 tops silver medal on my first run through, didn't get a gold medal until afterwards, and like...
Yeah, like, here's my spicy take on these. I did know how they work. Like, I had played this, and at one point I intentionally, to fuck with my chat, hit one of the bouncer things and refused to hit up to turn myself around, because I'm a jerk. But the thing is, even if you know them, the later ones, like, I think everyone remembers Blue Sphere Stage, like, 1, 2, and 3 from the original game, and they remember, like, those were fun and little brisk things. The problem is there's, like, what, like 36 of these damn things? Something like that? It's just way too many in this, and the early ones are pretty easy, and if you know what you're doing, they take, 20, 30 seconds, whatever, they're pretty brisk. The later ones, especially where they have you, like, bouncing around on these gold orbs to fuck knows where, and then they have like one-way paths that you can cut yourself off and just not be able to finish them, and you can really easily dead man walking yourself and then just be doing laps around this sphere trying to figure out where the last damn blue one is for a minute and a half. It felt like busy work. Like, I really hated doing those for unlockables. I literally just found out how I could get to like 4 checkpoints with 25 rings in like under 15 seconds between each of them, and I was just like, fuck it, I'll just grind these stupid things out.
Green Hill Zone Act 1 has an amazing spot to go back and forth between 2 checkpoints, and like, yeah, just grind it, because you're just doing work. I would much rather if these mini games were located in the extras menu and were quickly repeatable with a retry button, because as they are, I don't think they're enjoyable. And I know some people are going to violently reject this assessment, but I think they kind of fail as mini-games in the context of like things you'll play fairly frequently at checkpoints in the main game.
And something else I'll add is, like, when running through to grind out the Chaos Emerald or doing other stuff, they're so easy to run into at checkpoints because all you have to do is jump slightly. So instead, I'm just enjoying this Green Hill Zone music. You just hear this bop, ba-da, bop, 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 and it's the worst fucking shit. I don't want to hear the stupid blue music stage anymore.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I feel like it's in stark contrast to the other minigame present in the game, the one where that rewards you with Chaos Emeralds. It only has 7 levels as far as I know. It's a kind of a reimagining of Sonic CD's minigame, where you run around a somewhat 3-dimensional area and you collect speed orbs to speed yourself up and rings to extend your time. Let me actually, you know what? Let me just back this shit up. So you know the first minigame's like complex as shit and they don't explain anything. This minigame succeeds despite having like way more things going on because it's so simple. It's so straightforward. It's just like the pipe in Sonic 2 because guess what? You're stuck running forward, so you just have to deal with the consequences of that. And the consequences of that are you either run into blue orbs, which you'll note pretty soon make you go faster. You run into rings, which there's a counter on top that you'll notice ticks down, and it's clearly like a timer. If you don't catch that the first time, you'll catch that the second time. Unlike trying to figure out how the boxes work in the other minigame. You can run into obstacles, which you'll notice pretty quick drop rings, or you can run off the road and lose. Those are the four things. Those are the four options. They're so easy to see, and it plays itself. It's amazing. It's such a good minigame.
There's one other thing that like might take you a bit to pick up on, and the nice thing is it's like a really organic learning curve because you don't have to do it for like I think 1 through 3, but then 4, 5, 6, and 7 they like expect you to, which is like jumping to cut corners, you know, like jumping across corners or like making sure you take a little shortcut path, stuff like that.
But that's really organic. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and it's really simple execution. Like it's a simple idea, but it feels so good when you pull it off. It's like pulling off a 1 in a million shortcut in like Mario Kart 64, fucking like hitting a mushroom, cutting a ramp in a wrong way or something like that. It just feels really dope.
And sometimes
simple.
You intentionally want to slow down on some of the corners in 6 and 7. So I walk onto the hard areas on some of those parts because catching the thing in 7 with Mach 3 is really difficult. I find it easier with Mach 2. But it's this really organic thing that teaches you, hey, catch this UFO, but you know you have to manage both your orbs and how much rings you're collecting at the same time.
I think it's funny that Special Stage 7 is, because you can take so many shortcuts, it's like the easiest one for me.
Yeah.
They teach you about like doing dangerous things too pretty early on because they'll start with putting rings above like spikes, and then they'll put the ring capsules above like little round pits, and then they'll put the ring capsule after a jump pad to encourage you to skip the jump pad and hit the ring
jump
capsule.
pad and pop over.
Like it's
it's
really natural and it's really gradual, and it again, because of how it forces movement on you and all you can do is jump and turn, like it's so straightforward despite how many different little ideas and mechanics, and despite how much more varied the levels are than the like orb levels. It's such a good and also simple minigame to play, and I think that's like a really, really strong minigame.
I was excited every time I found one of those big rings and was ready to go.
Absolutely.
Like I was legit hype. Like every single time I found one, I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, it's on!" And like even though I like struggled with it at first, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm getting back in there. I'm gonna kill him. Put me in, coach." As opposed to the blue spheres where I was
the art's awesome too. How everything's like Saturn-esque. It's great.
You know what sucks is that blue spheres are like, every time I go in one, I'm like, I don't want to do this. And every time I go in a special stage, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I would do this even if I didn't get Chaos Emeralds. And what's funny is that, of course, blue sphere is the one that has like 40 fucking stages, but the actual good special stages, there are only 7 variants. And the last one ends in like 5 seconds for me now. So
And one sort of sad thing, it's good and I understand why they do it, but I wish I could just say like, no thanks, is once you have all 7 Chaos Emeralds, if you jump into one of those, you get 50 rings instead of doing the special stage. And I'd be cool with them letting me just do the special stage and then have 50 rings as the reward. That'd be cool.
Or give you double. Who knows?
And you want to know something cool that you might not know is that I've watched a YouTube video where you can actually do these special stages backwards.
Yeah.
And it totally lets you do it. The UFO just goes the other way. And you can do the entire stages backwards.
I had a bug one time where the UFO hit some kind of weird invisible wall, and it went back towards Sonic for a second, and that's how I caught it.
That's such a novel fix to an exploit. That's good. I like
Though
that.
there is something that I don't know if it's a bug or if this is just supposed to happen, but there's one stage where you can go on a separate path from the UFO and pass it, and if you pass it, you just have to hit a wall so that it can catch up to you.
You just gotta slow yourself down. It's unfortunate, but hey.
So whenever you guys got a Chaos Emerald, did you also go ba 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 da ba 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 ba? Because I did it every single time.
Yeah.
No, I think you have a problem.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to other Easter egg stuff. Did you guys see the and Knuckles ending?
Yes, it's very cute.
Yes.
It's really good.
I got spoiled on it on Twitter. Shoutouts to whoever spoiled it to me. Thanks.
Well,
thanks,
The
dude.
entire and Knuckles mode is hilarious.
Yeah, especially when you jump into a car with a third Knuckles.
Yeah, it looks really funny. I'd like to play that for sure.
The one thing is that I wish that you could, like, and Knuckles is such a funny joke meme that they could put in there, but I kind of wish that you could just do like pull a Sonic Advance 3 and just have any partner you want mixed with any character you want.
Yeah, I was surprised that was a specific thing you had to unlock, and it wasn't just mix and match. That seemed odd to me, actually.
I do like the addition of a debug mode. That's really good for anyone who just wants to goof off.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, no disagreement there. Yeah, and for routing for speedruns, it's really nice.
Okay. Regarding the music, I think T. Lopez might have made my OST of the year so far.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nier. Well, Nier's
Very,
pretty
very
good too,
good.
though. So.
I was gonna say if it wasn't for Automata, easily yes. Or
Yeah,
Pyre
I was
also,
gonna
but-
say I think Pyre and Nier Automata, and even Persona 5 still like fucking sweep over this. I think.
Good year for music.
But, oh my god, it's good. Let me buy this, please. Sega, let me pay money. Let me give money directly to... Does anyone... I just want to send the composer money, because it's wonderful.
I have my checkbook. Just tell me who to PayPal and I'll buy this OST.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that covers everything except for this question section. But we have, what's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
gajillion questions.
Yeah, helps that. Thanks for retweeting that. We got some good ones. Jokey Silent asks,
Oh, this guy's a nice guy. I know him.
what surprised you the most about Sonic Mania in terms of levels and music?
I don't know. To be honest, it kind of came in at my expectations for what I expected from a new Sonic. It kind of came in at par for me.
Mean Bean Machine is my biggest surprise, but other than that, I think Press Garden in general just surprised me because I wasn't even expecting it would be in there because it's a new zone. It just blew me away when I played it.
Because they didn't do any coverage on it, did they?
No.
For me, it was how deep they went on remixing the Act 2s of stuff. Like, Chemical Plant Zone Act 2 is its own thing entirely, and I really loved it for that. I adored it. Like, every time they did the full remixes, and every time they went and did their own thing, it was just always a joy. So, definitely that.
All right, so we talked about it a little bit beforehand, Ty, but I realized we skipped over the endings. In the special ending, doesn't it look like Sonic or whoever you're playing as fucking dies at the end?
Oh my god, yes. So, in the true final ending, one of the things that happens is, like, Sonic is fighting in the Phantom Zone. You finish the boss, and the first thing you see is, like, Tails and Knuckles, like, hanging out outside. And then there's just an explosion with Sonic giving a thumbs up, which is, like, a classic action movie, like, yo, this fucker just died. So, like, it super looks like Sonic died in the Phantom Zone. Sonic is over.
Yeah.
And then they show him, like, spin dashing, and, like, he pops out of a tube, and it's like, hey, he's dead. But there's, like, a split second where I was like, oh my god.
The presiding theory is that he goes to Forces,
Also, because the noise that the Phantom Ruby makes,
which would be kind of
is the exact
dope.
same noise that Infinite the I think it's just Infinite the Hedgehog.
It's
I'm
just
not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, okay,
But-
so if Forces starts with classic Sonic coming through a wormhole, that's gonna be dope. Like, I feel like, holy
But yeah.
shit, they
But yeah,
connected
it's
these two games.
It's like how Street Fighter Cross Tekken is tied to Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where Ryu goes through their portal.
Exactly.
Okay. New Decumania V3 says, what's your favorite boss in a Sonic game? That's the Mean Bean Machine for me.
I have to think about this.
Silver
There are a
and
lot of
Sonic
games.
06, because killing him in 25.633 seconds is the most satisfying thing I do every time I do it. No, probably the end boss of Sonic Colors. I just really love it. It comes together really nicely, does a lot of challenges. It references the rest of the game in a really cute, fun way, and the music and the set piece is just wonderful. And it's preceded and followed by incredible areas, like the escape down the tower is so good at the end of Colors. So
Yeah,
that's it for me.
I think Sonic Colors final boss is really, really strong. I think my actual favorite are the fights with Chaos in Adventure. Because I think Chaos is really cool. I think Chaos's design is really cool.
I don't know what to pick.
Okay, we
honestly.
can come back to you. Just start screaming as soon as you figure out what you want. Okay, CDI Games, and pretty obvious have a similar question. CDI Games says Sonic Mania is only one Sonic 1 level, as well as a callback to Scrap Brain Zone and Metallic Madness. what other Sonic 1 levels would you like to see? And pretty obvious says, what unincluded Genesis level games moments where you wish were included? So,
how about none of them, please?
I think this is kind of contentious, and I think you guys are going to violently disagree. But if I had to pick one, I would pick Marble Zone, actually, because Marble Zone's another one of those zones that I feel really has a strong identity, where it's like Marble Zone is Marble Zone. It's moving blocks and riding through lava, and I
think they could do cool stuff with it.
Yeah. And you don't confuse that shit with any other Sonic zone. Marble Zone is Marble Zone in the same way.
I mean, just if they did that. Just cut out all the waiting and add a few more pathways, maybe. The theme of it's pretty cool.
The song is also amazing.
Yeah. That's actually why I was going to recommend it, is just because the music in that level is absolutely amazing. And I would love to hear an updated version of... I would honestly deal with a shitty level if I got another version of that track.
I would say Marble, because literally any of the other zones I don't want.
Taylor, who's at TQuick101.
Oh, he's a nice dude.
And Liam, not you, at Rogue M Clone, are talking about new mechanics. Taylor says
that's Rouge M Clone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Rouge M Clone. Taylor says, how do you think Sega could top Sonic Mania if they decided to make a sequel? Liam says the drop dash and new special game contribute to Mania's identity. What new mechanic would you like to add to the next 2D Sonic? So, what would you like to see next time?
All original zones, and then you've made a better sequel.
Yeah, because I can't see him doing a Sonic Mania 2 with just more of
obviously, the same. Fix other things, but like if it was all original, it would probably automatically be better.
Oh, it would be incredible. Yeah, that's as far as next 2D Sonic, how I think Sega could top Sonic Mania if they decided to make a sequel and it wasn't, so here's my pie in the sky idea and like, hold my beer, I think you're going to like this. They make a game that's like not a rhythm game, but it's very music driven and the music interacts with the levels in a lot of unique ways. And it's all of Sonic's greatest butt hits, like all of the Crush 40, the new Hoobastank, fucking Make Believe Reborn. I don't give a shit. You slam all that garbage in here. I want it. Put it in my face.
It's like what Forces is becoming.
Oh my god, and that's why Forces looks perfect. But yes.
Okay. Similar questions with these two from Scott, who is at CyricZ42, and Googly Gareth at GT118. Scott says, if you guys could pick another franchise to get the Yakuza treatment, what would you go with? And Gareth says, how do you all feel about games like Dusk emulating early 3D era games? And which game would you most like to see be given this treatment?
Yeah,
so he's talking about
early 3D
like
era
tribute
games would you want to see? Yeah.
Does the Yakuza treatment mean like
getting a remake?
No, I think that I'm guessing that means like, because I asked somebody when I first saw this, because I was baffled too. I asked my team of Yakuza experts, which is a fucked up thing that I literally have, and they said what they thought it meant was taking like a niche franchise that like was really, really popular and had a couple great games and is kind of accepted by everyone who plays it as like really, really good. But then bringing all of them over and like kind of porting them and updating them and all that. That's what I took it as, is like something that never got big in the States or in
Goemon.
To a certain extent, and like bringing them.
Mystical Ninja Goemon.
Ooh.
I nominate Klonoa, please.
Yeah, Klonoa's not a bad pick.
I love those games, and they died out. They're making a movie, but I mean, hopefully that leads to games. But movie games don't usually end well, so I hope. I just want it to come back because I love Klonoa 2. It's my favorite game, and they promised a remake if Klonoa Wii sold well, but it didn't sell well, and I'm still salty about that.
Yeah,
fuck me.
God. For me, I would really like if Innis could make a new story-based rhythm game. And they came close. They had Project Rap Rabbit going on Kickstarter. I shouldn't say they came close. It did not come anywhere near passing. But they did pitch one, at least. I was really bummed that Project Rap Rabbit failed, actually. But I would love for... like, their games would be great candidates to get re-released.
The one I would love to see, like, all the games and all the pieces of the properties brought over, if we mean that. All of the non-mobile pieces of Puzzles and Dragons. I want the Puzzles and Dragons competitive machine that I played at MagFest.
Yeah.
And I want it in my house. And I want it forever. So that would be the one thing for me, is like Puzzles and Dragons competitive, especially on like the Switch with online. oh my god, I just wouldn't do anything else. That's
Okay.
all I would do.
So,
now.
you know, for the record, I'm just gonna put that loop of Hera's like juggling obnoxious tits over and over.
Oh yeah, no, please put the intro where they just like lightly tweened the boobie and got a little bit of that Hera bounce going. Yeah, no, of course there's anime titty. That's life, you know? You wake up, anime titty, you go to bed. Whatever. And then as far as like games that I would love to see like an updated or HD port or whatever that I feel like would be incredible now, it's stuck in my head right now, but Rising Zan, the Samurai Gunman.
He's Johnny No More.
Holy shit, that game is a Platinum game before Platinum did Platinum games. That was a Devil May Cry before Devil May Cry. Like, it didn't have two sticks. The camera is god-awful, and there's no lock-on. Like,
it needs a lot of love.
Yeah.
All right, Machine Doogs says, what in particular is wrong with me for not liking Sonic games? I don't like a lot of them either, so I'm in the same boat as this guy.
Everything is wrong with you.
The hit rate for Sonic games is abysmal. I don't blame it. Like, hi, it's me, TieTuesday. I like Sonic 06. It's a terrible game. It's really, really god-awful. Like, so many Sonic games are bad, and so few are good. Like, it's messed up when I say, like, Sonic Boom is, in my opinion, the most boring of all Sonic games, but it's not even close to the worst. I wouldn't even say it cuts bottom 5. Like, it's crazy how many bad Sonic games there are.
I'd say, like at the start, I'd say Mania turned me on to, oh, this is why people like this game series. So,
I definitely feel like it's just because there are not that many Sonic games that like you could like unambiguously like that don't have like clear flaws. Like Sonic Colors, I think is just unambiguously good. There's no caveat there. That game's just great. But if you go at the classic games or at most of the other modern games, there are certain more clear-cut issues with them that certain people are just going to bounce off of immediately. Some people are going to bounce off the friends being really annoying. Some people are going to bounce off the Werehog stages being awful. So I think a lot of people bounce off Sonic because there are very few Sonic games that are actually just that uniformly good across the board, you know?
I have a good way to explain this. Imagine a boardroom meeting for Mario games and a boardroom meeting for Sonic games. So you have Mario, and they're bouncing around ideas, and someone comes up with a really crazy idea. In the Mario boardroom meeting, you have Miyamoto who'd be like, now wait a minute. Like, let's think about this. But in the Sonic boardroom meeting, someone's like, let's give Shadow a gun. And they're like, okay. Like, we'll just try whatever at this point. And I think that's the big difference, is that Mario, even in games like Galaxy or Odyssey, there are like weird surreal moments, but Mario's always Mario, you know? Like, you never really see him change up his gameplay that much. Sonic has been to the sun and back. He's done virtually everything there is, and it's not going to click with some people. Plus, there's stuff like 06 and Boom, which are just flat out broken and
just terrible games,
fucking trash. Well, 06 I get an ironic pleasure out of, but that's not normal. Like,
and even like with that point, like Sonic Colors, like there's been a few people I've seen like level some pretty harsh criticism against it, like Jim Sterling, who I've nothing but respect for, and generally I'm like 1-to-1 in agreement. Really didn't like the Wisp systems and stuff like that, and it sounded like a lot of it was coming from a place of frustration of just Sonic refuses to stop reinventing itself. It absolutely refuses to just be Sonic twice in a row. The thing I liked about their experimentation with that is it was very understandable why they did it, is because like if you take it out and you stretch out how far like a single daytime level of Sonic Unleashed, for example, is, or like Colors, or Generations, for example, they're so long. You have to make so many assets. You have to build so much track. It's like
too fast.
Almost.
That's the problem with boost gameplay in
problem.
general.
Yeah, it's like the AAA, cost thing, but in a single encapsulated design decision. And
that's why they add
Lost
so
Worlds,
much bullshit on top of it. Like, Sonic Unleashed had the Werehog. Sonic Colors kind of got around it, but that's because they had to add so many random acts that are like 30 seconds long that reuse assets constantly. And then Sonic Generations, they had to rely on classic Sonic. They can never have too many stages, or else it's going to take like 6 years to develop.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's
I mean, just make a game where Sonic controls like he did in Adventure again, because that would solve your issue
without
you know?
the camera,
like,
without the camera problems.
The Sonic, Yeah, obviously, like fix the dated elements of it, because those games aren't perfect. I still love them, but just take that style, because he goes fast, but he doesn't go that fast, and you could probably solve your problem. You wouldn't have to keep adding like OC, Classic Sonic, Werehog. You could just do Sonic, and it would work in 3D.
I want to see them make something more edgy than Infinite. I want to see him take Infinite up to the next level. I want to see them do Infinity +1, the Hog. I love Infinite so much. He's perfect.
Well, some people look at Forces and they're like, why is everything so cheesy? And I'm like, that's the point. They just put everything like fucking stupid and corny and Sonic, like, and they just put it into one.
Like, I implore you, listeners of this podcast, I know you're like 3 hours deep on our bullshit right now, but please appease me. And after this, go look up a like 10 or 12 minute gameplay trailer and watch the part where Sonic and your OC get to a point and then they high five. Sonic says how glad he is you're here, and then they boost run and Hoobastank starts jamming. And you tell me that doesn't look like the best shit you've ever seen.
Fucking great, dude. Like, and people say games aren't art.
32428434465 says there's going to be a Sonic movie written by the guy who wrote Deadpool. So it'll either be really good or really bad. I would be down to watch it either way.
No, wait, hold on.
It's not really a question,
by
but
the
I'll watch
Deadpool?
it. Yeah.
The Deadpool movie was great, but
if it's bad, it's a good thing. If it's good, it's a good thing.
I haven't seen anything else he's done.
I want Sonic to wink at the camera and say, gotta go fast. That's all I want. Just wink at the camera and say, gotta go fast. Or like, uh-oh, that tornado's carrying a car, and then like runs through a city. Yeah. That's all I want. Just reference Sonic 06.
Or is that fucking Totino's pizza roll? Yum.
Yeah, that would get me. That would be the best case scenario.
All right, our friend Bames says, if they made another Sonic anime OVA, who would you like to see it made by? I'd probably go with Bones.
I'm trying to remember. Who's the people who do One Punch Man and Mob? Is that Trigger or is that
Madhouse? No, it's Madhouse.
Madhouse. Okay, yeah. Right.
I was actually about to say Madhouse.
Yeah, so. Madhouse would be mine then, just because I think they would be able to do some super wild shit with the concept of animating an incredibly fast hog.
I think Madhouse, Bones, and Trigger are kind of the best picks right now.
Or whoever did Redline.
That would be good. That's a really good one. That's a really good pick. So, Liam, where can people on the internet find you?
You can find me at Rising Superstream on YouTube or on Twitch, or RSS Liam on Twitter.
TieTuesday.
I'm at twitch.tv/TieTuesday. That's where I live. I'm also TieTuesday LP on Twitter, but more importantly, if you should go watch the VOD, because I'm going to be racing my buddy Slowbeef, who was on the Automata podcast.
I cannot wait to watch that, crazy. By the way.
We're racing Sonic 06, and the thing is, we made this bar bet in like January, and as a goof, I decided I'd start speedrunning Sonic 06, or at least like learn it, but oops, I'm number 9 in the world now, so I'm going to kill my friend live on air. So you should watch it.
I've been waiting so long for this race.
All right. King K, where can people hope to have some well-deserved fun today?
Hey, don't steal my...
I've been waiting for like 2 months to say this to you. I'm really excited.
Everybody wants to steal my lines. You can find me at King K. It's not based off King K rule, so stop asking, because it's not. Yeah, you can find me there. I have a Twitch link that's Kingdom Clan Ad, but I don't use Twitch, so you can go there if you want. But yeah, and then I just made a channel called The Throne Room. It's a really cheesy name, but I had no idea what else to call it. Because I needed a channel where I could dump my stream VODs, and I made a Sonic Mania LP, because why not?
I guess one favor I want to ask before ending, I want to see how deep your voices can go, because I know Ty and King have really deep voices.
I mean, I did like 4 hours of streaming, and then my voice is pretty shot, but I guess if we count that, I don't know.
Yeah, that's pretty deep.
I don't know what our bottom limit is, so...
How are you?
Both very sexy.
I actually can't do a higher pitch anymore. It hurts. Like, I'll just cough if I try to do, like... I just can't do it. So
well, that's a bother if you ask me.
Liam, how deep can your voice go?
Oh, I can't do it. My voice is stuck in this whiny mode at all times. No, I can't. My voice doesn't go low. Not at all, pretty much.
So we reach an ending. Next time, I'm hoping to have my big Breath of the Wild spoiler cast. Stay tuned till then, but for now, we've reached a good end.
Once your pizza's delivered. Stardust.